morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where, you see we are missing a certain Everborn slanderous one. But don't worry, we're going to fix that because there's going to be some other folks who go join us. But of course, I am your host, Mr. K. Asante, TK Asante, and all the places we find ourselves. And I am joined by a returning champion, the man who you hear on these streets delivering that straight dope with some melodic flow. Mr. Infinite Umbra, good morning, sir. Can you hear me? How you doing?
Good morning, K, my brother. Yes, I can hear you. I am here now known as the Bot Hammer 21K.
Okay. All right. We're going to dig into this for just a moment. Bot Hammer, sir. Why the sudden name change? What's going on?
Oh, it's just, I'm paying homage to those who have laid the foundation for us, the way, to show us the way to influence. See, we have to buy our way to the top. I have learned.
Oh, man. Oh, see, I was going to ask you, I thought this was going to be a precursor to something else, and it exactly is. We're going to get into it a little bit. But yeah, Mr. Infinite Umbra, you will regale us with your journeys into PCdom. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we get there, I will say good morning, everybody. I see a lot of people already tuned in. I see folks in the chat. I see folks watching live. Thank you guys so much for being here. Mr. Everborn Saga will not be joining us today because life happens, family matters, and all of that. Salute to you, good sir. He'll be back, of course, but he told me that timing might be a little tough this week. So, hey, it's all good. Not a problem. We have the great Infinite Umbra with us, and soon we will be joined by the OG slanderous one himself. But yeah, in the meantime, Mr. Infinite Umbra, let me ask you, let the fine people know of the purchase you've made recently and how you've been going on with it, sir.
So, for those who might not know, although I've been very braggadocious about it, so
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
It's very unbecoming of me. It's very true. But for those that don't know, I have decided to get a bit PCMR. And for those, I'm gonna give you guys some context. So I've had this outdated PC that was a 1650. GTX 1650, and when I shared this to what I thought was a safe space, I was not bro. It was my absolutely. I was not regaled with kindness, as you would put it. Okay, I was assailed, not regaled. I was assailed with insults and mockery.
Oh man!
And I vowed there and then, never again.
Mm-hmm.
So. I showed it and people were like, oh, they just mocked me to death. But I am arisen, because now I'm playing my Dragon's Dogma on this beautiful 14900K RTX, no longer GTX, RTX 4080 Super, 4 terabyte PCIe NVMe.
You cannot see his pinky in the air, so just assume it's there.
Indeed, and also assume I have a monocle on at the same time.
Yes. Yes. I will regale folks with your footage while you're talking. Here you go. This is the
64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. Yeah. Also, with 1,000 watts, of course, to make sure that even if I need to upgrade, I'll have the power. Or if I need to put everything at ultra and pull all the power I need, I'll have it. And of course, I also have 4. I said it already. 4 terabytes. I said all that.
Yes, you do.
Beautiful. I almost said console. Beautiful PC. I am no longer bound by the confines of console gaming, although I have not abandoned it. I have not abandoned Xbox and PlayStation consoles. For those wondering if I left. I have ascended mentally when it comes to performance, and this is why I decided to pick this thing up, and it was expensive. I'll tell you that right now.
Your slander is without it is just on full display this morning, sir. I appreciate it. As a member of the PC contingent, I appreciate it. I will say that, but I will warn people today. Don't worry. I will assure people. This is a safe space. Indeed, it is. There will be minimal slander. I promise you. I just couldn't help myself with that thumbnail, but there will be no slander to that level this week. People have already like reached out to me in the DMs like, bro, that was just savagery. I'm like, oh no. But yes, this will be, you know, a different kind of conversation. We will be cool. We will be cool. So before we get this whole thing started, sir, as you know, we're about them games here. So we'll talk about the games we're playing. We'll talk about all that stuff. But you know what? Let me first and foremost just get some super chats out of the way because the brother is here. He's always prolific and we appreciate him. The handheld master himself, Mr. MJ Dark, is in the chat with a $5 super chat. He says, when you cap for subsonic 30 with Dogma, but cry about 30 on a true next-gen experience, Morning K and Ever Late Saga just being messy. Of course you are, sir. And we appreciate you for doing that. We appreciate you for being here. And we also have him once again with a $2 super chat. He says, I graduated high school when his PC was built. Oh no. Yo, man, come on. Be good. So okay. Y'all can calm down. This is a little much. The man has ascended. We'll get into all that PC talk because this week deserves some PC talk. We will, but I promise you, this will not be at the expense of our console brethren. Trust me, I have a plan. Don't worry, we'll be all right. But you know what? Before we begin, well, you know what? Let's just get started. Let's just get started, sir. And of course, you are our guest. You are a returning champion. Let me ask you, sir, what games have been keeping you busy this week?
Well, a few things I have been playing. Of course, I have been delivering democracy as one needs to. And, you know, and I have been delivering democracy in Helldivers 2. And I also did get a chance to play through the Stellar Yams demo. I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough to buy the deluxe. And I typically just don't do that. So I'm going to have all those cheeks in glorious deluxe edition details.
Yes.
And finally, I have had a chance to finally get into Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay. Speak on it, sir.
So when it comes to games for me, Kay, it's really bad for me because when I get into a game, you know how people talk about microtransactions? Now, I made a fuss a bit about how they did the microtransactions, how they handled it in Dragon's Dogma a bit. It felt a little shady, right? A little odd to throw in crystals for the fast traveling. Ultimately, it wasn't a great big deal. And they have mods on PC, which I'm also becoming a part of and learning to use. So I'm going to do some things with this thing to get around all of that. But beyond that, I also excuse me.
No worries.
So I had a call come through. So beyond that, I also had I'm big on one microtransaction in particular, and that's cosmetics. So that's my biggest issue.
The man is about to drip.
Yeah, so for me, that's part of why I bought the deluxe, and also too for Stellar Yams and for Dragon's Dogma. I was in a character creation, making my character and making my pawn at least 2 hours worth of that, just separately. Yep. So about 4 hours total doing both of those things. And so I'm really into those types of things when it comes to those types of games. So I haven't done a bunch in Dragon's Dogma yet, but I will say it was beautiful to be able to set this PC to ultra for everything and high and all of that and ray tracing and all of that and seeing how it actually looks. And so I'm immediately getting that replay, or not replay, but that value back for what I've paid for this thing. So that is really, it's an interesting change, I will say that.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. And we'll get more into the whole PC talk. I see some folks in the chat. Again, this will be a safe space, even though we are also joined by the OG slanderous one. Yes, that's right. I say that because this man needs no introduction. His reputation precedes him. He will slap you across the face with the truth, and he will do it in the most slanderous fashion possible. Mr. Slowmo Backslap, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I am doing pretty good. Apologies for being a little bit late. Not Everborn late, but I was a little bit late.
You're fulfilling the Everborn tardy, the quota. I appreciate you, bro. Yes.
That said, I will get this out the way. K Asante cannot be held accountable for the slanderous things I may say about you console guys. Okay,
man, come on.
It's all the pie in the sky in the world. You want all the power, and you're not willing to pay for it.
Oh, bro, don't do that. Be nice. Come on.
I'm just like, there's a way to make sure you never have these problems. It's the infinite Umbra way. Sure you never have these problems.
Man, this is gonna be a very bad show today, man.
We were sitting in a party chat. And I'm having conversations with all these fine gentlemen, and Umbra is there, and he ain't saying a word. And I'm like, yo, is he okay? What is going on? And then we found out that he went into a graphical fidelity stupor for like 4 or 5 hours, as he just wasn't able to
path tracing
because of
the path tracing was washing over him.
The power that was actually hitting his eyelids was just like, it's too much. I've never seen this before. You telling me I don't have to trade off? I don't need to go down to 30 FPS to look at this visual wonder. I can do that plus play games at more than 60 frames per second. I mean, it's like he had a coming to Jesus moment. I mean, I'm happy for him. He's ascended.
Oh boy, yeah, I've ascended. I will say, and it was something to see and behold these visuals here and this fidelity and everything else so sharp and beautiful on this OLED. Now, I still know I have to probably get a monitor or something to plug this thing in, as people are telling me, but I will say it's 4K 120 hertz to 120 frames. It's beautiful.
Some people can make it happen. Like, and that's why I actually showed that footage. You're like, people like, I want to play on my TV. You can definitely do that, man.
You can play on your TV. Yep.
Do that.
All the limitations that people talk about, what they can't do with PC is all due to things they hear from people who also don't have capable PCs and don't know what they're talking about.
I call that the Windows 95 problem. Those problems have been solved a long time ago. You're just
a long time ago.
But you know what?
So sad.
Let us begin. Let us begin as we always begin. So, Mr. Infinite Umbra, you have been playing some games. You have been spreading democracy throughout the universe. What else have you been playing, sir?
Well, mostly those have been the most ones for me. It has been Helldivers 2, Stellar Yams, and now Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, so those three, and I'm probably going to stick to Dragon's Dogma for a while now to try to catch up on
that thing's special, right? It's kind of special, isn't it? It's something else, and we will talk about that because I want to see how your PC is handling that thing, because that thing is. Ooh, it'll put you on your back. No Diddy. Anyway.
No Diddy.
Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap, sir. I know you about these games. What have you been playing this week?
Very similar to Umbra. I have been playing, I heard him say he was playing Stellar Blade Demo. I've been playing that a lot, mostly not because of digital cheeks, but because I was digging the combat and I really wanted to kind of like master it as much as possible before going into the full game. I was kind of like I on my channel, I was covering this game back when it was Project Eve, and I did a video about it, and still was very somewhat hesitant with it because Shift Up is a developer that has mostly did mobile games before this, and you can imagine what kind of mobile games we're talking about. The mobile games where digital tatas is taking up like 45% of the screen, and it really ain't got much gameplay. So I was somewhat hesitant on how they'll be able to make this transition to a AAA game that has some real gameplay. But I am very happy to say that the game has got some chops when it comes to actual combat. It's not Souls like some people are saying, simply because it has like rest areas that people feel are like bonfires in Souls because the enemies respawn. But gameplay wise, it's pretty good. It's its own thing. And I will say story-wise, it gives me a lot of Nier Automata vibes with the way the story is progressing, the plot, everything that's happening, what Eve, the character, what her role is, and all of that. So it's really good. And I was definitely digging the boss challenge that unlocks after you beat the demo, and your save progress carries over from the demo to the full game. So knowing that, I wanted to make sure I went through every nook and cranny to make sure I didn't miss anything, unlocked all the chests in the demo. So I actually did the demo twice, and then I did that boss challenge maybe 24 times as I was getting familiar with the different, when the enemy flashes a particular color, what the actual counter should be. So those are things that are the game will teach you through punishment if you don't do it. So it's pretty good. I'm enjoying that. I did that for a few days, and I've also been playing Dragon's Dogma 2. With that one, I do this all the time. I think you should
answer Erodimus's question, man. I think you should answer.
No. Not just no. Hell no, she ain't seen me play that game. This is why my PlayStation is connected to one of my monitors in my office. So there's very little opportunity for her to just come downstairs to the basement and see digital cheeks all over our OLED.
This is straight PS Portal experience. Am I wrong? A PS, if you got it, it's a PS Portal.
I don't have one. And if I did, it would be on the Portal. That's where it would be instead of like all over the screen. I'm not trying to have my kids asking questions like, what Daddy, why she dressed that way? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know. You know what? No, it's just it is on one of the 27-inch monitors I have. And that's exactly how I'm gonna play it. But no, Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm really digging all the different classes, how the game plays so differently, determined by which vocation, which is class that you're using. But I'm a little tired of I need to make it to Melv. I have no more. I have to take an ox cart there. Oh, the ox cart's not here. I have to wait for the ox cart to show back up. Oh, okay. So I waited for the ox cart. All right, I paid my money. Now I'm jumping in the ox cart. Oh, we got attacked by a troll on the way there, killing the troll. The troll destroyed the cart. Whoopsie. All right, now I have to travel in the dark on the way back, all the way to Melv now, even though I paid money to make. I'm like, I understand the realism of it, and it's so different than other games, but that novelty wears off after, maybe about 20 hours in, and you're just like, bruh, I'm just trying to go talk to a dude in Melv. I don't need it. And then so now I'm very much like, all right, what's the main quest? What are we doing? Where we gotta go? All right, I'm doing that because I'm like I'm at the point where I'm like the Dave Chappelle show, but wrap it up, B. Like I need to wrap this game up so I can play something else now. Yeah. So that's that in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3's new season. I've been playing that, and Helldivers 2 as well. I actually also went back to Mass Effect Legendary Edition on PC. Playing that at 4K, 120 frames per second. Playing Helldivers at 4K, 120 frames per second as well. So, it's
you know what it is. Oh boy, it's going to be a PC-centric day. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, thank you. So, we're going to get a bit more into Dragon's Dogma 2 because we've talked about this before. And shout out to Holly, the blue number, who's in the chat, and all the great people. We were talking about it with her on the show last week. It is. I call it Forza Motorsport to Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon being every other RPG versus Dragon's Dogma 2. It is realism to a detrimental degree sometimes. I completely feel where you're coming from. I've regaled y'all with the stories of me completely screwing up my save because reasons. But yeah, I still will want to play that game. I'm still super excited to check it out. I want to get into it, but like you, I'm just an unabashed grazer, so I cannot focus only on this game for 180 some odd hours. So I'm peppering that through with other games, right? So as for me, I have been playing, what you're looking at right now is Trinity Fusion, like the handheld master in the chat recommended that I give this game a shot. And I gotta tell you, like, I'm as you guys know, if you've been watching this show for any length of time, I always like to mix in my indie games, my Metroidvania stuff. And this is probably the best version I've played so far. Like, I couldn't tell you which developer I'm saying would be this way, but it feels to me like a AAA high budget developer in between their monster titles decided to make an indie game. And they brought all of their artistry and their depth to an indie space kind of game. Like, the details are far more than they need to be. The story is far more in depth than it needs to be, but it's still really quality. The animations, like,
is this a roguelike?
It is a roguelike. It is a roguelike. It's a Metroidvania roguelike.
Right, yeah, because I'm seeing the part where you're kind of choosing your next like reward, kind of thing. Which, and I just know that if you die, like you're going to lose whatever that weapon is or that augment or whatever. So yeah.
Now the
I love roguelikes. It's cool.
The cool thing about this, what makes this different, what I really, really enjoy about this one, is the fact that there's a multiverse twist to it. I won't kill all that. There's a big multiverse twist to it, and all you have to do, basically, the idea here is that humans have cracked open the multiverse, and in doing so, there's gloom and doom afoot, right? And to fix it, you are tapping into versions of yourself during each run. So even in the middle of a run, if you're lucky, you can come across like a portal, and then you can decide a version of yourself to do it. And some versions of yourself, that's where the classes are. Some versions of yourself have a katana, and they're more the level balanced mode, right? Some versions have like short knives, and you're super fast, but you got to get in close. Other versions obviously have your ranged weapon, and they each respond differently and have different tricks and different abilities. Some can do double jump, some can't. So and they talk to each other. They're different humans, right? So the story there is very, very interesting. Like, I'm about 30 hours into this game. It is unusually good. Like, I'm just like in love with this game. It's just so much fun. Because it's got that Metroidvania flair. You know what this game is about. You've seen this happen many a times, but then all the extras they add to it, the story that's really, really in depth, the animation style, the way the story is unfolding, I'm completely biased because the main character's name is Maya. My daughter's name is Maya, so she had me from day one. So I'm like playing, and Maya's talking to you in your ear, and you're talking to somebody else. If you've played this, if you see this game, it has a lot of the same style from many famous Metroidvanias. So it's not like it's doing something new, but they've literally polished this to such a fine point, and the graphics and the 3D, it really like plays with that idea of, this was like a high budget AAA studio that was making these monster 3D titles, and they just felt like making this real quick before they go back to their monster 3D titles, right? It feels that way. I'm really, really enjoying it. Of course, I'm a handheld gamer because I'm always on the go. This thing sips TDP. You can play this on a handheld. I'm playing this for hours without even thinking about it. And of course, it's on Steam, so you're playing it on your handheld. Then when you come home, you want to play it on the big dog PC or whatever. You flip it over, and your save carries with you and all that. So I have these tend to be my small games in between Dragon's Dogma and the other big games. But then I end up spending far too much time in these things. I am really, really loving this game. I didn't get a code. Mr. Joanna Dark recommended I try it. The game came out in December, December 2023. So it's been out for a little while, but it is amazing. I am so digging this game. It's so good. I will keep playing it, and until and I will go back to Dragon's Dogma when I lose my save and they piss me off. I'll come back and play this again.
So what's the name of this again, Kay?
This is called Trinity Fusion.
Trinity Fusion, and it's a Metroidvania, you said, right?
Yeah.
I'm already interested. Yeah. I love Metroidvanias, so I have to give it a chance.
Yep. I will definitely. I would recommend that everybody do so. I have been really enjoying my time with it. Just like all the famous Metroidvanias, there are secrets in there. You can find secret levels as you go along. You think you have the best weapon, you enjoy your weapon, and then all of a sudden somebody drops a weapon and you're just like, yo, this makes the other one look like a joke, and at every turn there's more cool things that they want to help you like solidify your build. It's just really good. Like, it's really, really good. I'm surprised this game came out, which tends to probably be the problem, right? These Steam Windows only games, like, they drop in the bucket and everybody just kind of like forgets that they exist because there are other big games out there. This game deserves a lot of attention. I don't know if it's on console yet, but when it does hit console, I think it's going to get a really big following. It's super fun, super entertaining, and it's not like a backdrop. The story is really engrossing, and the way they multiverse aspects to it is quite interesting. So yes.
Would you say this game may potentially be a PC exclusive? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say, well, by default, these things tend to be PC exclusives at first because, they make them here, see how much attention and or resources they get, and then they port elsewhere, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if you see this on PlayStation soon. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this on Xbox soon. But as a start, usually these games like at least enjoy a year of exclusivity on PC while they tune it up, while they refine it, and then it ends up elsewhere. A similar game to this, different style but similar Metroidvania game that I was really enjoying as well, Cookie Cutter. They're finishing up their very last updates to it. I actually saw a tweet from them recently. Once they finish this, the next thing is the port, right? And it's been on PC for a year now. They're finishing it up, cleaning it up, making sure that it's really, really refined. And then somebody asked them, hey, is there going to be a PC a console version soon? They say very super soon they're going to release it on console. So this is how it tends to go. So that may dovetail into the conversations we're going to be having today, right? It's interesting. You may want to think about that while we have this conversation. These games tend to start here, and then they go where they go. But yes, I have really, really, really been enjoying this game. And if you haven't tried it out, Trinity Fusion, obviously it's not the $70 games. I think I bought it for like $14-15. Like, just so worth it. Way more than it deserves to be. Like, people should be playing this today. It's very good. It's very good. So thank you so much for Guess Who 107 for becoming a YouTube channel member. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting us this way. Of course, we have J Mac, the great Gerald Mac, with a $2 super chat. He says, talk PC on Mondays. Humbug on PC Master Race. Sir, I promise you, today you will not feel like a second-class citizen. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna be real talk about it. We're not gonna be too slanderous.
I don't know you can keep that promise, man. But you know what? It's not your fault. It's not your fault that he feels that way.
Oh man,
there's a particular Chihuahua that's for the blame for that. But we going.
Oh man, don't do this, man. Don't do this.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I already got chastised by my co-host Forte for speaking
speaking ill.
Yeah,
speaking ill. Don't speak ill, man. Come on.
Listen, look, after man, that thumbnail you posted, Kay, I want to hear all the slander slow. Got to give us slow mo. Go ahead, unleash that later. We'll get to it.
Oh man, and Erodimus, the great Erodimus, gifted 5 memberships to the channel. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And of course, Mr. MJ Dark, $5 super chat. He says, Umbra, you no longer say consoles look better with the lights off. I also recommend Biomorph on PC. Umbra throw the wrong ally in the bushes. Wow.
Oh,
brother.
Is he saying
like
throw a paper bag over his head? Throw a paper bag over that console's head, man.
Oh man. This is not going to be one of them shows that people are going to like it. People are going to get real mad. Now, I'm not trying to make people mad. This is not what we are about right now. We're trying to be cool here. We're trying to be cool. But okay. Let us get the show started properly. I actually think Mr. Everborn Saga is trying to get in. Pause. I see him sending me messages. He wants to get into the show. So I will see about sending him the invite. But let us start this conversation properly. And I'll start with this right here, because it seems that no week goes by with some sad news. And this week is no different, clearly. I'll start with you, Slomo. I heard you talking about this on the great DPS podcast. Relic cutting 41 jobs. And of course, they're going recently independent from Sega. It's a sad state of affair. Are we ever going to see any of this stuff turn around, sir? I'll let you take the first strike.
I think eventually these things will stabilize, but it's going to take some time, and the industry is going through somewhat of a shift of resources. From what we keep hearing from people in the know who work within the industry, that it's getting a bit more difficult to get projects approved, and frankly, a lot of these developers can't just sit around doing nothing. And when you don't have work to do, that companies are going to do what companies are going to do, which is cut people, and that sucks, right? And because some of these layoffs are systematic of what's going on in the industry, and then you get some of these cuts that are more about, hey, look, shareholders don't like us not being profitable, so we're going to do what we're going to do to make sure we stay profitable, which we've seen developers definitely chastise these publishers for doing those things as well. It's not all one, all in one direction. It's not all that's happening where it's just they're just cutting people to stay profitable, and it's not all simply that it's just resources are being shifted. Money isn't coming as easy as it used to be, and it's hard to get these projects approved for full-time games. But it when you see it, like, the end result is still that people are looking for a job in the industry where there is way more supply than demand, and it's unfortunate to see.
I completely agree with you, sir. It is just such a sad state of affair. Microphone check 1 2, and he enters the fray. Fashionably late, but always on time. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Everborn Saga. Good morning, sir. I wasn't expecting you today.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, sir.
Yeah. So that thing that I told you I had to do today, it turns out it's on the 13th, which is next Saturday.
Okay. Well, welcome, sir. We appreciate you being here. You're going to add a nice counterbalance to this.
How are you 30 minutes late? If you didn't even have to do it.
Because I didn't find out till I got there.
Oh man. That is terrible, bro. That's terrible.
Man.
Luckily you didn't waste any gas, I guess.
Well, yeah, there you go. Well done, sir. Well, you know what? Before we continue all this, Everborn, man, what you been playing, man? Let us know. What's good?
I tried V Rising this week. Because I got it on sale, early access for like $15, but it works on the Steam Deck, but at the same time is really designed for mouse and keyboard, so it doesn't really it doesn't play like how you want it to play. So I tried messing around with the controls, and it just got worse to where it wasn't taking any input, and so I got to switch back to the mouse and keyboard thing, and I just couldn't get past that, even though it's playable.
So, question on that. Like, and I've had a few games in this similar vein, where I end up relying on the community mappings, because it's got basically the Steam controller mappings for all these games. Is there just not a good mapping from the community in there?
There's not a good mapping. Yeah. It by default, it came with some community mapping, right? Like, I guess, or however that happened. But like, if I went and looked at it, it would say mapping for V Rising. So I know that's not like standard. I know it's not default. But even then, like, it doesn't even recognize that there's a controller. So it's still showing you to move the mouse when you're going through the tutorial. Like, they show a mouse icon.
Yeah. Of course. And even though it's controller supported in the game, it still thinks it's using a mouse because they map the mouse buttons and the keyboard buttons to controllers. I get you.
Yeah. So that was super annoying. And I've been playing some more of Berserk Boy. I know I sang praises of that game. It's basically like, it's an indie developer, and it is it's basically the sequel to Mega Man that we never got, because it advances the move set of Mega Man. Like, so imagine a Mega Man 11 where they went way farther and thought outside the box for how he could use his powers. It's pixel art. They do some hand-drawn, like, actual animation, like for the cutscenes or whatever. So like you can watch a cartoon when the game starts and somewhere in between it. So if you are a Mega Man fan, like old school Mega Man, this is way more forgiving than Mega Man 11, which I played recently, and I found to be like difficult for no reason. And I know Slow Mo's gonna say I'm playing on journalist mode. That's fine. But
I wasn't,
Mega Man.
Since you brought it up, I mean, it is the preferred mode for you. So it's just,
guys.
But see, here's the thing. That might be the case for like first person shooters and things like that. But for old school 2D platformers, which are the greatest genre, no, I prefer something more difficult. But Mega Man just is very unforgiving. Anyway, this I highly, highly, highly recommend it. There's a story there. It's interesting enough to make you like want to see what happens. It's not going to bring tears to your eyes or anything like that. But you know, the way everything is put together, and the dev seems like it's a single guy. He said he took 5 years to make this. So I also recommend following him on X. He advertises this stuff a lot, but this is very, very good. Highly recommended. If you're into Mega Man, if you're into 2D platformers, that's the one.
So do you think it's a situation where maybe we can talk to the developer? We love talking to these indie devs. How about you reach out to
I don't know. I'll reach out. He follows me. Yeah, I'll reach out to him.
There you go. Hey, man, let's get this man on here. Let's get some attention on his stuff. I actually purchased this myself. I haven't really dug through it because I'm still digging through Trinity Fusion and a few other things. But yeah, it looks amazing. Your recommendation last week got me to buy it.
Yeah, you really got to see some of the different power-ups that he gets. They're very well thought out.
Yeah.
What's the other thing? So I'm on a high. I told you guys what happened with Dragon's Dogma, right? Did I say it on this show, or did I say it in the Discord?
No, you said it last week on the show. Go ahead. Okay. Tell. Same thing that happened to me. Go ahead.
So forget about me losing my saves and having to go back to the first time you go into the tavern, and I'm back in loincloth after I had armor and everything. I was level 8, went back to level 2. So
man,
when you are creating your character in that game, so by the way, when I went back to level 2, I'm just like, I'm starting this over, because when you're creating your character in the game, there's no size reference for the character, right? So you think you're making a normal size character. My character's 4'2", and I didn't realize that until after he was already created and I went through the whole thing. And so I gotta wait till I could save up 500 of the currency that you need. I think it's DEP or whatever.
Why didn't you just start a new game? Oh yeah, you couldn't, right? Yeah, you can't.
Right?
Slander, man. Slander.
There was some article on Windows Central by Jez on how you could do it. That shit doesn't work, right? Like because it's like, okay, exit out of the game, delete your save, and then when you start the game, it's going to try to download your save data and just cancel that, and then you'll be in the menu and it'll be like start a new game because there's no save file. Even if you do that, it'll still say continue. So it doesn't matter that you cancel.
I think the key thing you missed was you have to turn off cloud saves in Steam.
No. This is not Steam. This is on the Xbox.
This is on the Xbox.
Never mind then.
Again, these are problems you don't have on PC.
Don't do this,
here's
man.
The thing. Lucius Augustus
need you to save them. They need you to save them. Don't do this.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Lucius Augustus says play offline. Guess what? I tried that too. It says you need an online connection to play this game. Does not let you play it unless you're online.
Wow.
Also, yet another problem you have on PC.
Doing this, man.
hey, look, I just now. To be fair, they did put out a patch over the past week that
for the PlayStation. Did it come to Xbox yet?
Oh, the patch doesn't. It's only for PlayStation for new games.
For PlayStation and PC, and they said Xbox was coming in a few days. I don't know if that came out yet because I'm done with the game.
I'm not. You know what? That's not right.
Usually, Xbox's one takes a little longer because their certification process is just a little longer than PlayStation's. Right, and that is the cautionary tale that happened after Cyberpunk. So it's probably all done the same way, but the PlayStation's path to release is a little shorter than Xbox's path to release. So I'm sure it'll be out in a day or two. Like it tends to happen. Xbox's one just lags a little behind.
Okay, I just sent a picture to your DM. I want the people to see how short my character is that I could not go back and redo.
Oh man, Everborn Dwarf Saga. This is hilarious, bro. Oh no.
Oh wow.
Look at this. No size reference with
hey, but he looks exactly like you though.
He's like a pocket arisen. You know, you just put him in your coat pocket, you know,
like mini me.
Hilarious, bro. Oh man, no size reference whatsoever. That's hilarious. But once again, we must give credit where credit's due. That character creator is amazing. It looks exactly like
it. It is very good. It is a very good character creator. I made two characters that, you know, back when I first made them, I thought I'll be able to kind of do simultaneous playthroughs of a male arisen and a female arisen.
You mean like you could do in any other RPG or game?
Yeah, any other RPG. Yeah, right. You know, to give you multiple, you know, different characters. How many characters you want to play with? Just because it's, you know, it's what the player wants. Now, what the devs want, you know, funny how
Lucius brings up a good point though. You have a perfect rogue character. You can jump on the back of anybody, snipe quick, be out because you short, you little. It's true. It's true. In this game, size matters. Like literally,
the game has disrespected me at every turn between the stingy economy for. Oh, by the way. Like just getting back your health, like you're in a town. I know you could get a tent, right? But if you're in a town, they say go to an inn, right? Mm-hmm. And if you go to an inn, that's the thing you have to rely on. They say your quick saves, like a save doesn't even work, and they tell you that.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Right. So I go to an inn, and one of the early things you do when you go to the Capitol and you meet the guy, and he tells you what the whole plot of the story is. You're supposed to meet him in the Stardust or Starlight Inn, whatever it's called.
Yep.
That Starlight Inn is not an inn, so it doesn't count as a save. Even though
it's called the Starlight Inn, but as long as you don't sleep there, it's not an inn.
Right. But it's called an inn, and they tell you to save the inn. And I go to the person at the counter. I don't see a sleep option, but it's like, okay, you can drink here. So I'm like, it costs the same amount to sleep. I guess I'm gonna get back my life. Nope. Right? So 2,000 whatever currency you got to spend for that, and none of my characters have their life back. He's right, Floodzilla.
I'm just putting up the slander in the chat right now. That's all I'm doing. Go ahead.
So 2,000 to play a scene of them looking like they're having a drink. You get nothing for it, right? There's literally no purpose for you to stay there and
Yo.
Damn.
Not the pipsqueak.
Yo.
So
this is amazing, bro.
So here's the thing. So I'm thinking
capacity is like 5 ounces.
I am thinking that, hey, I went to the Starlight or the Stardust Inn and they took my goddamn money. So when they say, do you want to go back to the last inn? I'm thinking it's going to go to the Starlight Inn. No, it goes to the inn from the beginning of the goddamn game.
The loincloth. That's right. Yep,
but I'm still short.
Happened to me too.
I'm still 4'2", but
4'2" and left out there with a loincloth like you attended a dinner party.
And now that I'm back at the beginning of the game, and I'm 4'2", and my money is gone, and everything I did is gone, I can't even restart the game.
Man.
When you finally get back to the capital, let me help you out. There is an end there, but it's not that end where you go meet the Captain Brant to discuss your the story stuff. There is maybe like a block away from there an actual inn, and at the lower level is where you can change your vocation and equip skills and unlock stuff, and then the upper level is where you can actually go to sleep. There's also a woman there who is trying to sell her apartment or whatever, and she'll for free let you stay there for a week, and then she'll come back later on and say, hey, look, I like it where I'm living now, and I'll sell this to you for a pretty cheap price. So basically, nice. You don't even need the inn in the capital. You can go walk around the west side, and she'll basically come, talk to you and say, hey, can you basically house sit for me for a week, and then you can sleep there as often as you want with no additional cost. And there are other towns where you can also it's a bit more expensive, but you can essentially buy yourself a permanent place to stay whenever you're in town, and so you don't have to spend exorbitant amounts of money just to sleep somewhere else, especially because there's some areas where they don't like the fact that you have pawns, and so the people who have stores or a place of business will be like jacking up the prices because they don't like the fact that you're walking around their town with pawns. So you don't want to have to deal with all that. You can actually just have a place to stay. But all these things, hey, people told me this is supposed to be game of the year.
But you know what? It kind of is though, isn't it?
Wait a minute.
Weird craziness,
Hell no, it is not game of the year, right? Because if Starfield got dinged,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Starfield got dinged for encumbrance.
Mm-hmm.
The complexity and esotericness of this game,
encumbrance,
like cut that shit out. No, this is not game of the year. I may not ever go back and play it, but we'll see after some updates come out. But right now, it's on the back burner because I spent $70 for this thing.
You ain't playing that no more. Before you jumped in, I was saying that I was I'm at the whole wrap it up B stage of Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm tired of traveling, having to walk everywhere to locations. I'm tired of paying for an ox cart to go to a place and having a troll attack it and destroy the ox cart like 25% of the way to the destination and having to travel the rest of the way in the dark after I paid to not have to do this. Yeah, I'm a little sick of all that. I'm just going to do this whole.
That's what I'm saying. The economy is too stingy. The whole economy of it's broken. Now, I don't want to say it's broken because they did it on purpose, but God damn it. Like
Garuda being slanderous. What's going on, Garuda? How you doing? I'll just let that one sit. That's amazing.
That is a great title.
That is amazing, sir. All right.
And I tried my best to get into this game. I pre-ordered it, and I never pre-order a game. I succumbed to the hype, even though I never even heard of Dragon's Dogma Part 1. I went and watched the terribly animated but pretty decent story 7-episode anime on Netflix. I was all about Dragon's Dogma, and they just.
So you know what I've noticed? What I've noticed with Everborn Saga, when he is super excited about a project, it will fall off a cliff for him. Like, oh, I'm in there, and then boom, it just falls terribly. But the stories or the projects that people have to convince him that are good eventually become his game of the year. Like it's like when he starts very pessimistic, it always goes up, And when he starts like, oh, this is gonna be the greatest, he's always disappointed.
You know what that means?
Is this why people call him Ever Flip Flop Saga?
No. It means my instincts are terrible.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Luke Law says you his people, bro. That's some people, it just works that way. It is what it is. What are you gonna do? But no, see, look, I honestly think all of that weirdness, and trust me, I'm there with you. Like what Everborn described as a problem with the loincloth situation, same exact thing happened to me. I spoke about it last week. Craziness, right? I've talked about how you spend like a lot of time putting a bunch of food in your inventory, and if the food is organic, meaning if it's like, an apple or meat or whatever, over time it starts to get bad in your inventory. So if you don't use it quickly, or if you don't cook it or whatever, you go to check it out and all of a sudden it's gross in your inventory. Like these things,
and don't eat it, because if you eat it, it's going to give you the blight or something like that.
Yes, right?
And you need to take something else to get rid of that, and it's just.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It is unusual.
You have to eat. But this is what I do when I go into combat, which is often because I can't go 5 steps without a harpy, troll, whatever, attacking me, wolves, whatever, right? I use, even though my healer, my main pawn is a healer, I choose to use, like, whenever I see my health start to like go at least halfway, I hit, left bumper and press up to heal and get my stamina back, so that like the stuff that I have that is perishable, it doesn't get to the point where it's spoiled. You have to kind of do these things, because the game will definitely trip you up, and you'll be like, man, I thought I had all these apples I just picked like 20 minutes ago, and they're all already spoiled. Yeah.
But you see, this is why the game is so CPU heavy. It is accounting for all of this constantly.
Yeah,
right?
Wait a minute, Kay. What exactly does food going stale add to the game?
Well, no, it's not about food going stale adding anything to the game. They are, definitely frustration. they are taking this immersion thing to the next level, adding things that are kind of, frankly, unnecessary in my humble opinion. But it makes it like it makes it unique among games of its ilk, right? Like unlike any other game.
But
like I was talking about,
doesn't mean good.
Well, sure. Obviously, it doesn't always translate to good. After the novelty wears off, you're just kind of pissed off. I agree with you, right? But
right.
I was talking about it like a week ago or so. If you want to look at like, oh my God, next gen visuals, you're talking about Horizon Forbidden West, right? Like it looks amazing, but you strip all those graphics away, it's a basic like game of its kind that you've seen many, many times. It just looks beautiful in doing it. This sacrifices some of the visual like flair, if you will, for some extremely unusual game mechanics that in many instances they don't even tell you. Like what Slow-Mo was talking about right now. I learn something every time somebody who's played it for some hours speaks, because there are many parts of that game they don't tell you. Like you, for instance, Everborn, being a short, the short dude you are, if you run up to an enemy,
are you talking about me in real life or in the game?
Both. Nah, I'm just kidding. In the game, if you run up to an enemy and you like jump at them, you can turn yourself into a cannonball and knock them down. Like these are things you just don't know. They don't tell you this. Like you have an easier time of getting on the back of an enemy than somebody who's big and encumbered and burly and large. Like if you really think of the logic of it, it really, like, they have taken the logic to its ultimate conclusion, sometimes in a very detrimental way, no doubt. But it's just super interesting that somebody thought to put all of this in one game. It's just nuts to me. It's just absolutely nuts. Now, does that mean you'll end up playing it and enjoying yourself or whatever? Hey, I am a Forza Horizon guy. Some people like motorsport, right? This to me is the motorsport to the Forza Horizon. And we all know Forza Horizon is more popular. But motorsport has a strong contingency, right?
What would be the Forza Horizon of these types of games then for UK?
I mean, Assassin's Creed, almost any Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you can jump off of the biggest hill and land like superhero landing, and you're just done. You could be on a horse and collect all these inventories while you're just flying by them, not necessarily getting off your horse, going to cut it, which this game would make you go and cut that thing, right? You could have 80 billion apples in your inventory and they're just there. This one, you have an apple, you got to remember, hey, now, you know that apple's going to go bad very soon. You know, it is the extreme opposite side of the decisions that were made just to keep things fun, right? So and that's why I understand that it can be very annoying to people, you know?
This is more akin to than maybe to Red Dead
Redemption. Yeah. Yes. Where your balls, the horse's balls shrink in cold. Yes, it's like that.
Yeah,
it's exactly like that. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. I think that when you think, and this is me putting my technology hat on, thinking with that technology brain. It is so interesting to me that someone thought of all of those aspects and put all of that in a game, even to basically pull against your enjoyment of it, but it's still there and it's represented. It's just fascinating.
So, to quote a certain dead uncle, with great power comes great responsibility. And just because you can add something to a game
doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Yes. I understand. But you know what? Let's get back to it, because this is not going to be a second week of the gaming circle hating on Dragon's Dogma podcast. Let's get back on point and talk about some of these news stories, because I think all of this will culminate in a very, very interesting discussion. So let's get into it. First and foremost, we've spoken lightly about how Relic has been finding themselves in some dire straits since separating themselves from Sega. Before I continue, I will say, please hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not done so, we appreciate y'all being here. Nice, a good amount of folks already in the chat and watching. We appreciate you. I have found that we have a strong contingency that watches right on Twitter. Like, there's a bunch of people right now, almost like 50 people, 50, 60 people watching on Twitter, right, via their app. So welcome. We hope you join us on YouTube, because then you can chat with us and we can respond back to you. But anyway you choose to watch, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. You'll also notice that I have put the scroll at the bottom of all of our great members. We love our members. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us here. This is really cool. Like, you know, the idea that you would think to support us in that way is just always fantastic. So we appreciate y'all being here. I'll make sure I keep that up with that. And I do see you there, Slow Mo Backslap. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you, sir. That's
no problem.
So let's get back down to it. I will start. Well, we already heard from you, Slow. Let's get to the man Infinite Umbra, sir. I know you keep up with all this moving and shaking in these here gaming streets. What do you think? I know, are you a Relic gamer? Are you the type of person that plays these games that they are known for? They tend to be RTS. They tend to be that you know, the huge game movers or the nation mover kind of games where you're building your world and all of that. They've done many different iterations of that. They've been part of Sega for a while. They go independent, and now they had to lay off a bunch of people. What are your thoughts, sir?
It's very unfortunate, and for me, those are not really my type of games. And honestly, I had a relic of a PC, so I wouldn't be able to play those things on.
Yes, sir.
You see how I put that together? Okay.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
But you know, it's unfortunate because I mean, it's the good news that they get to go independent. But with that, of course, you know, there's the overhead, there's the lack of finances that comes with that. So hopefully, I mean, we're going to be talking about these types of things throughout the years. It's going to keep happening. It feels it's a downer to keep talking about. It is relevant, so it's not like we can ignore it, but it's just a thing that's going to continuously happen. And at a point when we go and talk about it, it's like, what else can we say except, you know, give our condolences to the people who were laid off, right? So that's the sad part about the whole thing. And even reading what they said to the team, you know, it was heartfelt, and you know that they hate to have done it, you know, because they let it off with that. To those we're saying goodbye to, we're deeply sorry that it's come to this. We thank you for everything you've done for our studio and projects, and wish you all the best. It's like, how do you write that? And I'm sure these people will have been with them for like 9 years, 10 years, etc. It's tough, and this is just going on. This is an ongoing thing, and Sega themselves, Everborn's team, had to lay off 240 staffers just before this, or as this happened, should I say. So it's just something that's going to continuously happen. It's very unfortunate. I hope these folks can land, find a place to land well. I guess that's the best thing I can say. I'm sure some of the positions they're going to lay off the people who they can afford to do without, I suppose, more so than anyone else. So I don't expect it to really hurt them as far as game building to any major degree. And I mean, like I said, the only thing we can really do is give our condolences to it. It's not much more we could say outside of that. It's just an unfortunate thing that we're going to hear more of this year.
Yeah, it is really sad, bro. And just so folks know, the Relic are people who made like games like Age of Empires. They're doing the
Company of Heroes
game, Company of Heroes. Absolutely. Space Marine 40K. Like they've done some super interesting, and they continue to do super interesting things. Some of them may not be to your speed, but they have solidified themselves as a very, very good studio in this industry. And they so much so that they have been asked to make games in other with other studios and other first party offerings and stuff. They are very, very good. They were founded in 1997, so they OGs in this, right? So it is so sad when these studios find themselves in this time, but at least they are still alive. Some of these things just get closed and then they just become one of those sad cautionary tales. But as you say, Umbro, like absolutely, I hope they find themselves in better situations. Mr. Everborn Saga, sir, what are your thoughts?
I mean, obviously it sucks, but it sucks for anybody, right? My company is going through a restructuring right now. Who knows what'll happen at the end of the fiscal year, right? So these are things that happen. Obviously you feel for anybody as a human, but you also, while separating that, right? This is to be expected. They're on their own now, right? They don't have the publicly traded company to back them up anymore, so you have to keep costs down. And they make games that are sort of niche, like the genre is niche, not that the games that they make is niche. They make some of the biggest games in that genre, but you got to be as lean as possible when you're not a part of that like much larger structure, right? So it makes sense. And if you want to keep the company open, if you want Relic to be around in 2037, right, much less 2027, then you gotta let people go. And guess what, when they have another project greenlit, they'll probably hire again. But right now, this is the time to be lean, because if you're in a time where money is very expensive to borrow, and you're not close to your next release, if you're spending all that money, that could take the whole company. So,
MJ Dark with a great point. He would love to see Relic partner with Xbox and make a Gears Tactics 2 or Halo Wars 3. Those two, that developer would be like chef's kiss. Perfect. Especially, I loved Gears Tactics. Like, that game got no love. It deserves so much more respect. If you haven't played it, play it. He's absolutely right. Go ahead, Edmond.
And Sega had two studios like this, right? Because Relic is separate from Creative Assembly.
Yep.
So they kept Creative Assembly. I know they let some people go, but they kept Creative Assembly, and they spun out Relic. That's basically what happened.
Basically, yeah. They kept two niche studios. Well, they're not niche, as you say. Two studios that make that niche genre happen, and they were monsters in that game, both of them, right? So one had to give. I'm surprised that they didn't sell the company to another. Well, they did go independent. They did go independent.
I mean, at that point, if you get rid of them, you gotta ask, what the team is doing. And honestly, I think it's good, because other people, they would have folded them into Creative Assembly. They would have just merged the teams. Other people would have just shut the whole thing down. So they let them go and do their own thing, and they can, be responsible for what they want to make. And in this world, I think that's better. And I think that I think what up, Brap? Thank you for the compliment. sir. But you know, I like the idea of them being in control of their own destiny. And if that means you got to let some people go until you're, you know, closer to the release of a larger project, then so be it. But, you know, make what you want. And I don't know what it takes to make like a strategy game, because it seems like it's a lot. Like, we don't have Aura History Untold yet. And I know that's like supposed to be another kind of big game. But I would think that where tools are now, you don't need as many people to make a game like that. So I'm all for it. I think while you feel for the people, just like you feel for anybody who you know has to go on the job hunt in a market that is like it's probably not easy to go and get replaced in a world where everybody's letting people go. But it is easier than ever to start your own company and do your own thing. And maybe, you know, that talent doesn't just die, right? Hopefully those people land on their feet or they start making their own games. So such is life.
Yep.
Not to be cold about it, but what are you gonna say?
No, but it is, it is what it is.
It's just every day.
The nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast these days, absolutely. And speaking of people getting fired every day, let's and as you notice, I'm starting off with the sour stories, and then we'll get to more fun stuff. It seems that Sony has lost interest in the KOTOR remake. I, for one,
let's go.
Super excited. I was
okay. So now they've caught up to me from 2 years ago.
Yes,
I am happy. I am happy.
Go ahead,
about
Slomo. I know you were strongly advocating against this because of the developer that was chosen for it and some of the Michigas and how they got their hands on the IP and all this. What are your takes?
Yeah,
sir?
I feel vindicated because from the very start I was like, Aspire, just because Aspire has done ports of a game that was already created and put them on mobile does not mean that they have the capability to remake and modernize a classic game. And they proved exactly that when they basically ished the bed and had both Lucasfilm Games and Sony looking at their vertical slice, like, what am I looking at? Is this the same game? What are they doing? Yeah, that's not. No, they're out. And unfortunately, Saber Interactive is still pushing forward with the project. But Saber Interactive came on as a support developer, and Saber's big. Saber's got like at least 1,000 developers, and then sometimes they're a lead studio, sometimes they are a support studio. For this, they were a support studio. But I was positive, and I think this information really, I think it originally comes from Jeff Grubb, I believe, but this information coming out really pretty much tells me exactly what I thought, is that if this project would have started from the very beginning with Saber Interactive doing this remake, I don't think Sony would have been interested. I don't think that Lucasfilm Games would have been interested, and definitely the fans of this classic game would not have been interested with Saber Interactive doing the remake.
But wait a minute, Slow-Mo. Can I ask you about that though? Isn't Saber Interactive making Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2? Is that Saber?
I don't know. Maybe they are. They have so many devs. They work on so many different games. They maybe are, but like, I would much rather a developer that is goated or at least way more experienced in making Western RPGs make this game than anyone else.
Interactive is making that. Yes.
I would have liked, say, an Obsidian to do this, but we know, with Sony being attached to it, that's out. And even if they weren't attached to it, Obsidian's probably way too over encumbered with different projects that they're working on to be able to really dedicate enough people to get this done. But like Larian Studios, the multitude of newer indie studios that have cropped up out of the corpse of BioWare, who made the original game, I would have much rather this go to those teams than Saber Interactive or Aspire. So with Sony losing interest, I look, it's now Embracer has allowed Saber Interactive their independence. This is really strictly a project that's mostly Saber Interactive pushing forward, probably because they need it, and Lucasfilm Games. And I'm just hoping at some point, because I want it to get canceled, because I don't want a subpar game remake sullying the experience and the IP, the what we know of Knights of the Old Republic. If you're going to do it, you better make damn sure it's amazing.
Do it out of the Mass Effect trilogy, huh?
Let me ask you a question. So you were saying like Obsidian's off the table because Sony's involved, but I'm like, the way Microsoft is going in these days, are they off the table?
Turning adversaries to partners, sir. Let's keep it moving.
But the other thing is, Josh Sawyer, my favorite guy.
You mean the man who's blocked you? Who, by the way, has most likely blocked Slow-Mo Backslap after yesterday's screed, but continue.
What? Why would y'all say that?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Shout out to Pixelbit G for gifting 5 memberships.
Oh, thank you, Pixel. This is great. Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you being here.
I am not blocked. Let's go.
You're not, but that's probably because he hasn't watched what y'all said last week.
So we know that like he would like to do like a AAA Pillars of Eternity thing, right? He said that, right?
Yep.
What if you put Obsidian on this and gave Josh Sawyer the AAA budget? Is that something you would you buy that for $1?
I don't think they have the bodies for it. I don't think they have enough personnel in order to make it happen. That's what I was saying. I think that like they don't have enough bandwidth. They got too many projects they're working on. They Avowed is still hasn't, hit gold yet. They've still got devs working on that. They got The Outer Worlds 2, which is going to be the next big project for them. There's these rumors that they're doing a Fallout New Vegas, either remake or a sequel to it. There's just so much going on. Then you got the ongoing content for Grounded, which is, it started out with just a dozen guys doing it. Now, more than likely, they may have maybe slightly more people in order to keep like content going now that they kind of cultivated a community for the game. I just can't see them dedicating enough resources to do a Knights of the Old Republic remake with what Lucasfilm Games seems to have wanted from it, which is not necessarily a changing of the story, because the story is amazing. It's probably one of the best Star Wars stories ever, but the combat is not what, even though we see what happened with Larian and Baldur's Gate 3 and how that's a very much an old school game design when it comes to an RPG, and it worked. Most of these publishers are not trying to dedicate that kind of money towards that kind of project. So they wanted it, and what Aspire was working on, and what Saber probably is still working on, is a modernizing of the combat from the original game on the original Xbox. And if you're going to do all that, you're going to need a lot more bodies than what I think Obsidian is able to dedicate to this. Now, if Xbox is a part of the project, Xbox Game Studios, that is, I think In Exile may be able to do a serviceable job on this, and they may actually have the resources to make it happen. Because as far as we know, but they're just working on that Clockwork. I keep forgetting the title.
Clockwork Revolution.
Yeah. That's all we really know that they're working on. They could be working on something else. I don't know, but they come from the same family tree of Interplay that Obsidian and BioWare and a lot of the Bethesda Game Studios people come from. And so they know how to make those kind of games well. And I trust In Exile far more than the people who were involved in the project to begin with. So maybe In Exile is the move and not Obsidian, but I just kind of feel like cancel it. I don't want to see it
real quick,
not be done well.
Because you talked about the Outer Worlds, I have to point out, for those who are on the other side of the house, for our PC brethren, Outer Worlds is free right now. Just go pick it up. There you go. And it's the whole collection.
And Outer Worlds 2 is probably going to be multi-plat. But what about I had an idea for this. Okay. So you brought up Larian. I think Larian would be a good fit, and they do want to do something. outside of they're not doing a Baldur's Gate 4 or whatever, and they're not doing any updates for it. So since they want to do something different, they might be open to take something like this. But for what this game would require, if a Larian or an In Exile were going to do it, to build the kind of game that kind of lives up to this name, don't you kind of feel like it would take like 7 years or something like that to make a game like that? Like, how long were they working on Baldur's Gate 3?
They're not a small studio, though.
They're not a small studio.
That doesn't mean anything. How long were they working on Baldur's Gate 3?
I'm thinking it was probably about 4 or 5 years, but I'm guessing. Yeah. I'm not.
They also have
certain on that.
They also have a pipeline that's really geared towards this. Their Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 are basically like resumes for Baldur's Gate, so they have it ready to go, you know. And so that's why that 4 or 5 years might have been them optimized. I could see it taking longer if you're spinning up a new fresh idea in this way, but they were prepared, you know.
Yeah, I just don't know. It feels like I don't think like if you cancel the project and then Lucas Interactive wants to do something else, that probably feels like they have to start from scratch. And if that's the case, I just don't think you see a game at the caliber that we want that would come out anytime soon.
Dorian Gray brings up a good point. We still need to see that fallout from Obsidian. I'd rather see that. I agree.
And there's been a lot of talk about that. That's what makes me kind of feel like they're already dedicated towards something in the Fallout universe, and therefore it's not like it's just they're just not at a place where they could do it. Like Obsidian is probably right now maybe my number one draft pick when it comes to doing a remake for this game, but. It's just, you know how like you see it in movies where like there was a particular actor or actress that's supposed to play a role, but they were already had prior engagements, contracts with a different studio for different movie or whatever, and they weren't able to do it. That's how pretty much I kind of feel like Obsidian is with this particular game. Like there's just too many other things that are in the way in order to allow them to be able to work on it. But I think they would do the best job with it.
So my thing would be then, since it's not Aspire, which none of us were excited about, honestly. So this, I think, is kind of good news in that sense. They're not going to get a chance to ruin a classic, right? Who would you all say they could use? Because clearly Obsidian is tied down, like you were pointing out. Clearly, well, In Exile might have the opportunity. Clockwork Revolution does look like it's like literally about to be finished.
It's getting close. So it looks anyway. Yeah.
Right. So my thing, I know you got Massive, who's working on a Star Wars game, Massive Entertainment with Ubisoft. Now they could have done it possibly. I would wonder, what about Larian? They're moving away from Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Couldn't they?
Like
what about
saying,
They might be the best available right now. Yeah. But I mean, let me throw some other rings in the hat here. Archetype Entertainment was my most, like, the one I wanted to do it the most. And Archetype Entertainment are full of the vast majority of that studio are former BioWare developers, and BioWare made the original Knights of the Old Republic. And when I say former BioWare developers, I'm talking about they got Drew Karpyshyn, who was the lead writer on Knights of the Old Republic. He is now the lead writer for their game Exodus that was shown at the VGAs last year. Exodus looks amazing. Looks like, a what we were hoping Mass Effect would be with Andromeda, and hopefully what the new Mass Effect they're working on is going to be.
Isn't Exodus the one with Mr. All right, Mr.
Yes, Mr. Matthew McConaughey is attached to that project.
That's right. Okay,
with Jessica Parker. I can't remember her last name, but she's been in like Black Sails and stuff like that. They have a pretty much all-star cast of people.
It showed well.
Yeah, it showed extremely well. I've been following it, been working on doing some content for the game. It looks amazing, and they got this whole
they showed gameplay
thing. They showed snippets of gameplay. It looks very much like Mass Effect, like a newer version of Mass Effect with the camera angle and the actual combat. It looks pretty sweet. They got this whole, like, it's very innovative in how they're doing the story, where, like, you know how BioWare, old school BioWare was, where your decisions matter. With this, they're taking that to the nth degree because you're kind of skipping through time. And so your decisions that you may have made at one point in time, you then go to, say, like a new mission or a new chapter in the story, and it's now 30 years later, and you're seeing the decisions that you made essentially in real time right then and there as you are moving on towards the next part of the game. There's some really trippy stuff that they're working on, and I think that they're still a pretty small team. I think they're still under 100 developers. But and they have a support studio that's helping them make the game. But I think I would have preferred Archetype do it because they got the people that used to do Knights of the Old Republic. They got the people there. Well, so, but yeah.
What about Blue Point, Slow? What about guys? And because they did the remake for Demon Souls, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Sony could use them if they're feeling away and saying, "Hey, we don't feel like publishing this anymore." What about using them since they did clearly a capable job in Demon Souls remake? What about getting them now? They're like
let me answer that, Slomo. I don't know. I'm not saying that they can't do it. They're very talented, but like what? And this, I'm not taking away from what they did in any way, but like to me, what they did with Demon Souls was keep the exact gameplay or very close to what the gameplay was, but just really up the visuals. And so I think KOTOR would need someone who's going to basically re-architect the entire game, and would Blue Point be right for that?
Yeah, and that's I think they could do a pretty good job of it. I would trust them more than Saber Interactive on this. But I agree with Everborn. Like that game is so old that as far as like what you would expect from like game, for example, like in the very first planet you're on in Knights of the Old Republic, you're kind of like stranded there. And if you really play the game, you see there's really like maybe like really like 4 or 5 different areas that you're going through back and forth throughout maybe like the 5 hours that segment takes. And that's it. There's not a lot there. And you would, and with the way that Blue Point did Demon Souls, as Everborn said, it's literally the same game, just looking far better than it looked before. Combat is exactly the same. They even kept some of the bugs that were in the original game are still there. Like they just basically took the blueprint. It's the blueprint. They took the blueprint and they just made it look better and everything. And I think this game is so much older because this game came out like 2003, I think, if I recall. Yeah.
Yep.
This game
you can play it on your iPad right now. Like it needs far more updated.
You can play it. I have it on mobile phones. It's just like it's that easy to
Those
run.
Are the ports that Aspire made, right?
Yes.
Yes, actually, yeah.
And Aspire couldn't deliver the port for Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords, on Switch correctly without not fulfilling promises of content that was cut in the game that was supposed to be there. And it's just anytime they have to do something that's not what was actually in the game is when Aspire seems to fall flat on their face. And I'm not saying that would be Blue Point, but I also kind of feel like Sony was attached to this project. Blue Point would have been the perfect pivot for them, but they're not. So I'm thinking
they lost interest. Yeah,
they lost interest, and more than likely, Blue Point is really caught up in development on something else that they're working on, and we've heard stuff like they're doing their own IP. We've heard other stuff they might be doing a Bloodborne remake. Whatever they're working on, they don't have the resources to pivot and do this too. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just thought of the meme with the African guy saying, "I don't have the capacity." But
hey now.
The thing I was gonna say was, I think could part of the reason, if that report is true, because we don't have it like confirmed by a lot of places, it's just like it seems logical, but I don't know if we have like hard sourcing on that. But if it is true, do we need to consider how much Disney wants for these licensing fees? And is it going to be worth Sony's time and money to put Blue Point, who could just make them an IP of their own, to do this thing.
So
And then if you are just going to completely scrap this thing, and it seemed like for what people want, if Larian is not the right ones to do it, and I know their relationship probably isn't great, but what about the Final Fantasy remake team doing it and giving it like a really,
I mean, you want to see that game in your lifetime? Like, they take a long time to make games, bro. You wouldn't see that thing until you old and gray.
I mean, you not see it. Listen.
So you talking about like Creative Business Unit 3 for Square Enix doing this?
They need better names for their studios.
Right.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because it seems the new CEO is now transitioning them to studios and not just business unit, number. So that's funny that you say that.
I don't think Blizzard do that too, by the way. Unrelated, but like Blizzard, they have so many studios within Blizzard, and they never really get to shine. You just hear Blizzard. I'd like to hear it instead of Team 5 or whatever. Sorry, Slomo, go ahead.
Yeah.
I cut you off.
Yeah, I don't. I look, no shade towards Square Enix. I think this is a very different kind of RPG, and I don't think this is really in their wheelhouse. I wouldn't want them working on this. Now,
I don't see them on it either.
Yeah, and likewise with there's rumored of a Final Fantasy 9 remake happening. I wouldn't want BioWare working on that. Like Western and Eastern RPGs have very different feels, and what people like about those RPGs vary.
What are you trying to say, Slomo? Are you saying you think a Western studio wouldn't be able to capture the "I pity the fool" essence as good as the Eastern studios do?
Hey, look, man, we might be seeing some stuff happening where people are like, "Hey, what happened to Tifa? What is Tifa wearing? Why is Tifa wearing an entire nun outfit?" Like, people be upset, that kind of stuff.
What happened? We went from Tifa to Queen Latifah, huh, Slow-mo?
Yeah, you better leave Tifa alone. Like there's some things that like people might not like. Because people were upset even with Aspire, because there was this talk that Aspire was going to change parts of the KOTOR story. It's just like, whoa, why are you changing a master? That stuff don't need to be changed. That game was fully voice acted, by the way. It didn't even need you to go write anything and any additional and get any voice actors in to do anything additional. It's fine the way it is. Just make it look like the worlds look like actual worlds, and modernize the combat. Like that, you don't need to change the story. The story should be fine. And even then, we were seeing that, we're going to add more side quests here and there for a game that don't like. I'm just like, y'all need to cut it out.
You know what that is, right? They're trying to put their stankonia on it. They're trying to put their mark on it, And if it works, then they get all the credit. But of course, that is
put the mark on your own game.
That is a high bar.
Put the mark on your own new IP, not this one. That's what I'm not trying to see.
Absolutely.
I think the silver lining, though, in all this is that it's up under from Sony being the publisher, because
not officially. Because Rub didn't say they've lost interest, but they haven't officially. Right. We don't know for certain they've officially dropped being a co-publisher yet.
Let's hope that's the case, because a lot of us, when it happened, I'm sure you all remember, we all felt like it was a slap to the face of Xbox and things like that. So if it's from under Sony, that'll be a good thing, as it'll be multi-plat. So
Pixelbit G,
Umbra, I would like to know who is we, because I didn't feel like it was a slap in the face. And I knew as soon as Aspire was attached, we should not be too excited about it. And I said it on this show at the time 2 years ago.
I do remember that.
Thought I was just being salty and a hater. But I knew Aspire, because I knew that I pay attention to the mobile space a lot, and I knew that they had only really done mobile games. So with their name attached, I never really had excitement for this remake. But please continue.
Pixelbit G.
But see, now they no longer have it, though, right?
Real quick, Pixelbit G, $2 super chat. He says, we need someone to remake the original Legacy of Kain RPG. No truer words were spoken, sir. No truer words. That was an amazing.
We need Microsoft to pick up Crystal Dynamics, but they're not. Maybe that could happen.
Well, they just got through laying off some people. I don't know if they have the funds for that.
MJ Dark thinks let Bungie make KOTOR. They need all the money they can get. Oh
no. Not Bungie. I don't want them anywhere near this.
Speaking of Sony and losing interest, this might be why they're losing some interest. It looks like when you look at the numbers, all the games that moved the needle for Sony in this fiscal time around were not really Sony games. They were all the games that you've heard of, that you can think of, the Fall Guys and the Apex Legends and heck, Minecraft and of course Call of Duty and all this. None of their AAA exclusive bangers made the cut, which is odd to me because that's why I purchased that console. I love what they have to bring there, but by and large, it seems that the public buy that system just to play the normal stuff you can play in lots of other places. I'll start with you, Infinite Umbra. What are your thoughts?
I'm sorry, Kay. I was drifting off a little bit because I was reading the chat. No. What was the question on that?
The question is, what are your thoughts on the idea that although we cultivate and we always talk about these bangers and these exclusive amazing games that PlayStation offers in their fiscal year, and you see the most popular games being played on that console, and I'm showing the list right here on the screen. None of them are first party games.
Oh, well, I think that's something we've all become accustomed to when it comes to PlayStation for a while. I've said this on a few other shows, is that, Sony has always gone to the well of going to third party. This is nothing new to me to see that. It shouldn't be a surprise to any of us, really. And I think they've coasted by on that for so long that people don't really give them slack like they would, give Xbox or Microsoft in this case. So, no, this feels like exactly what we always expected, that third party typically carries consoles when it comes to that, and more so Sony than I think anybody else. Nintendo is the outlier, as typically first party for them carries them. It doesn't surprise me. It's just a par for the course, honestly. And I mean, they already said they won't have any games really major games until 25, so I'm not surprised by this. I do expect a few other games that they have exclusive ties to, obviously, to make the list at some point. The Final Fantasies, for instance. But yeah, this is about par for the course. I'm not surprised, but I don't think anybody should be surprised by this.
So, what do you think, Slow-Mo Backslap? Should they be worried that on this list, first off, none of the games they spent a lot of time and money on made the cut, and actually, if you look at it, their quote unquote competitor has 2 games on this list. Is this cause for concern for them, you think?
I think it's already been a cause of concern for them, and the reason why they have pivoted so hard towards live service games to begin with is that they had these numbers far longer before we were able to see this kind of information, and they didn't like it. You look at, I'm actually looking at the entire document, the screenshot. I'll send this to you, Kay, so you can kind of see this. But Switch has 6 first party games in their top 10 list. Xbox has 4 of their own games on that list, and a single player game, which is something that isn't really represented on all these other platforms. And of course, Starfield. And PC has games that are PC exclusive games like Counter-Strike 2 and League of Legends and Valorant on their list as well. So it's just like when you go to PlayStation and there's nothing that is exclusively PlayStation on that list. Yeah, you have a massive install base, but they are mostly playing on a monthly active user basis games that you don't create. And that is, although you're getting a 30% cut out of those games, what you're not getting is that 100% cut out of those games, or at least 70%. If like say, I don't know, maybe Helldivers 2 might, when this list is created at the end of 2024, maybe Helldivers 2 would be in the top 10. It certainly seems if you made a list off the first 4 months of this year, that Helldivers 2 would definitely be in that list. But we'll have to see for the rest of the year. But this is why they pivoted towards so hard in making sure that Arrowhead had all the resources needed to make Helldivers 2 the kind of game they wanted to make it. It's the reason why the rest of the content that's coming out for them first party for the rest of the year, all we know of is Concord, which all we've seen is a sandwich in a spaceship, and fair game.
Y'all are crazy about them sandwiches, man. I keep hearing about the sandwich.
that sandwich looked amazing. Like it made me hungry. But I was just like, I still don't know what the game is. Like, is it first person, third person? I don't know. Like, what's the theme? What's the point? What are we doing? I don't know anything. And so, like, hopefully they actually show that before they launch the game. Because so far I'm kind of giving them the side eye on it. But this is why they pivoted so hard there, and why Hiroki told investors, don't expect any of our big IP from PlayStation in this next fiscal year. Those ain't ready yet. But what we're going to have are games that we hopefully will be able to crack this nugget here, where Fall Guys is still there. And it's funny because the average years that most of these games are on the market, except for the Switch, with PC and PlayStation and Xbox, is a minimum 7 years. Like, the live service game nugget is really hard to crack. Yeah, you may get a game out there like the finals, and it can have some good success and really get a lot of interest, generated, and you may even make your return on investment. I'm pretty sure Helldivers 2, Pal World, those games have made their money back and then some. But to be on this list, you got to crack a lot of lists. You got to be you need to maintain a significant portion of your player base for at least 6 to 12 months, and that's not enough, because these powerhouses have been out here for over 7 years. So it's just
Fuzzy being real slanderous in the chat right now.
Fast food delivery simulator.
So I got a question, Slow, into you guys. Like, can Sony even get out of that hole they've created for themselves? Because typically they're a driver for single player games. Mm-hmm. I know they're trying to make this pivot, obviously, with the 6 and previously 12 live service, and Helldivers is doing well for them, like you pointed out. But like, can they even make this pivot? Because that's not a engagement driver, those types of games that they make. Like, we see Spider-Man fell off, right? Nobody's continuously playing at it. Well, there was one brother in the space that said, I played Spider-Man 50 times. What are you talking about? Replay value. But besides the fanatics, nobody's continuously replaying these things, right? So can someone get out of that hole they made for themselves with the style of game they put out?
It's possible. I think it's possible. Go ahead, Everborn. I've been talking.
Go ahead.
Completely unrelated. I just got an email from Tesla saying they gave me a free month of full self-driving.
Hey,
try not to kill myself later. But
indeed,
there was a couple of things that was said. I was trying to keep notes while you guys were talking. So what Umbra just said about Spider-Man. Spider-Man not being there makes a lot of sense. It's a single player game, and it's not designed to be played forever, right? Like Starfield is on that list because it's just a Bethesda game that is designed in that way, and it does have a lot of replay value after you know how they handle the end of the game. I'll just leave it there for people who are newcomers. So to me that makes sense. Now, the thing is, I look at this list and I see a few things. Yes, I see 2 things that are acquired and owned by Microsoft. And I also see,
real quick, Kay, I sent you the screenshot that has all 4 platforms and all their top 10s. Go ahead, everyone.
I'll check it out. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So I also see that they are all service games, right? And then I see that every one of those games are on multiple platforms, right? Mm-hmm. So you could read this, and this is the mistake that I think Microsoft is making, right? You could read that and say, hey, people buy these things to play multi-plat games. Exclusives don't matter. That would be the wrong reading of that list. And I'm not saying anyone here is reading that list that way, but if you're just Timmy or Timmy's mom or John Q Public casual gamer, right? When you pick which console you want to buy, right? You could get an Xbox, you could get a PlayStation. If you can afford it, you can get a PC if you feel like dealing with all that PC stuff. Shut up, Slow-Mo.
I said
wow.
nothing. I said nothing.
Yo.
That was a preemptive shut up.
Even though it's far easier than people think. But go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, keep it moving.
If you know you can play Fortnite anywhere, why do you choose to play it on PlayStation? If you know you can play Call of Duty in 3 out of 4 places, why do you choose to play it on PlayStation? Same thing for Roblox, Rocket League, Rainbow Six, Apex Legends, all that. Why do you choose PlayStation over the Xbox? And the answer is, even if you will never play Spider-Man or God of War, you know that it's there, right? And you may tell yourself you'll play it one day, even though what you actually do is play 2K or FIFA all day, right? But you see God of War, you see Ghost of Tsushima, you see all those things, and those things serve as sort of marketing beats, right? And so that is why, even though these games are available on most every other platform, you'll go play it there because that's where the zeitgeist is, right? And I see Pixel in chat. He says, because that's where your friends are. A lot of these games have crossplay, right? And I know,
shout out to Epic for that, because Epic pushed for that. Shout out to that, because Epic fought Sony to make sure that was the case, that crossplay became something that was synonymous everywhere. And I think, them being the at the forefront of that, the pioneers of making sure that crossplay is everywhere, the reason why Fortnite is number 1 on all 4 platforms right now. Like all 4 platforms, Fortnite, no one's topping it. But what they did, and then they freely gave out the tools to other developers to implement crossplay in their games as well. It was like, hey, look, if you need help, let us know. But these tools, they are yours to use. This is open source for everyone. And now you see so many games, even from smaller developers, having crossplay implemented easily. It is now expected from a multiplayer game. If your game is strictly on one platform, unless it's PC, which is, we got all the majority of a lot of exclusives over there anyway. But for the most part, it is expected that you can play this game wherever you prefer to play your games, and you should be able to link up with whoever you want to play with. Like, that's expected now.
Right.
So I think Epic deserves this.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying, that's the thing. If I'm John Q. Public and I know that crossplay is a thing, and I know I could play against Slow-Mo on PC or Umbra on Xbox, who's actually on PC now, but that's another argument for another day. I know that I can do that. Why am I still choosing the PlayStation? And I really believe that it is because it has those other games, even though people may not play it. The other thing that we should note about this list, every game on this list except for Starfield is cross-gen.
True.
So not only is it cross-play, it's also cross-gen.
Yep.
Right. And is
Hogwarts Legacy on PS4 and Xbox One?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I forgot.
But Hogwarts Legacy is also not in the top 10 for anywhere but Switch.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
But on that note as well, to what Slow-Mo was saying, not only does Epic basically have it sewed up at the top, they also got Rocket League in every list except for Switch. They got two.
Yes, I forgot. They own that now. Yeah.
And also Fall Guys in many of these. They own that too. This industry.
Yeah.
They are. This is why they are the big gorilla in the room. Look at where they fall. Like, it's amazing.
This is why I feel like Riot is they are underrated in this, and I think it's because they're only on PC, so there are a lot of console people that don't. They hear about Riot, but they don't know Riot, and that's because League of Legends and Valorant, 2 games that's on the PC list, those are their games. And those games, even though you see them where they are, like, they average, if you look at like just concurrent players at any point in time, just Google League of Legends concurrent players right now, you're seeing anywhere between like 750K to 1 million people playing it at any given time. And it's the same for Valorant. And
I have a question about that.
They need to go to consoles, is what I'm thinking. Go ahead.
This is exactly what I was going to ask you. Do you think they wasted their opportunity with the Netflix show? Because that Netflix show got everyone. I was ready to play their game. They got everyone to pay attention, and they didn't capitalize on it in a console kind of, because their backstories are amazing. They outdid Blizzard in that way, and then they let the zeitgeist die down. I
don't think so, because if you think about when the next season is coming out, they'll probably have stuff out by then. So I just think you don't want to. I'll always say this:
Valorant is supposedly being rumored to be worked on consoles, which I think it's probably easier to put that on consoles than League of Legends. Maybe that does come out around the time of Arcane season 2. That would be perfect. You got the Netflix
Valorant
show
in the League of Legends universe.
Yes, it's within the same universe. It's just a different kind of game. It's more of a mix between like a hero shooter like Overwatch and a Counter-Strike kind of game. So it fits a niche, and it definitely is super successful.
Cheap plug. You need to understand what the Valorant game is. Go check out the Slow Mo Backslap channel. That man is wrecking fools daily on that thing. Well, not daily, but I've seen you play that many a times. I have not played Valorant. I play vicariously through you, sir. Great gameplay.
Oh no! I don't play Valorant. That's Valorant does not have native controller support now. So I have dabbled in it, but I don't like mouse. Yeah, I just don't like mouse and keyboard. So I kind of stay away from it. When it gets native support controller and not some janky put together support mod for controller, I will play it more consistently. But for me, I'm mostly playing other multiplayer games. But yeah, it's on PC. It is a lot of people play that game and love it.
It's crazy because with those two shows, like when you think about not only with what's the word I'm looking for League of Legends with what was the name of the anime for that? The animated show? The
Arcane.
Thank you.
Arcane,
which is amazing.
It is. It's one of the best shows. Oh my god, yeah,
it's excellent. I had no idea it would be that ridiculous. Good. But so Arcane, and so I do get your point on that, K, because it did feel like they missed the chance with there. But like,
bro, I needed a campaign after I was done with that game. I needed to play a campaign. Oh my god.
Legit felt the same way, but the thing is like you would think maybe they'll fall off with that. Same thing with Cyberpunk with that excellent, also another excellent.
Edge Runners is awesome.
So you would kind of think they missed the opportunities for these to capitalize, but I think we already saw with the DLC for Cyberpunk that helped catapult it well, and like Lucius pointed out of the numbers that's already behind League of Legends right now, it being one of the biggest, if not the biggest esport. I don't know if they can miss their window of opportunity necessarily. I think they'll be okay for a long while.
Anytime they do it, it's going to be good for them. You think?
Right.
Well, exactly. I'm just being self-serving. Give me a campaign to play when I'm done with the excitement that is Arcane. Oh my god, I finished that at like 2 in the morning. I was jumping up and down in my office like, yo, I need more. And then I looked around and all I saw was the offerings they had, and I was like, "Come on, guys, y'all got to do better than this."
So I don't know that we can like. I don't know if I can give you the medal on this one, K, because it's like the multiplayer or whatever it is.
Oh, it's working for them, no doubt.
Yeah, it was right there, so you could have played that. You just didn't want to.
Yeah, but that's not my style of game.
They don't seem to need a campaign or console support. They're doing quite fine.
True, but here's the thing: the reason why I was saying they missed the boat is because they're already working on console games. Like they'd already come out and said, "Oh, we have 3, 4, 5 stories," which some of them have already come out since this time. They're smaller experiences, but they were working on a lot of aspects that I wanted. I just wish they had come out in synergistic fashion when this show was out. It's still being worked on, and I hear there are fighting games for consoles coming out. There are actual campaign, like normal action adventure games coming out. It just so happens that they didn't fall at the same time,
Yeah, I mean, but then you would have been waiting another 3 years just to get the first season. So I'm saying by the time those games really come out, the second season will be out and you can have your fun. But back to what I was saying about this list, because we did get sidetracked a little bit. So I also saw some chatter in the chat about the monthly active users on Xbox are higher. And I think this list kind of tells you why when Microsoft or Phil or whoever says we're at the highest number of console users, that's because every one of these games is cross-gen, right? And if these are the most played games, and they all can be played from your VCR, Xbox One, all the way up to the Series X, right? I think that's why. So it's not so much because there's a number that keeps getting thrown around by a lot of people. Game Logic is coming to mind, 27 million, which is a correct number. But when you look at what is mostly played, that 27 million number is a lot less important when you consider all of the 50 some odd million, 60 million that were sold on the OG Xbox, right? So
true.
I think this list is telling, and I know Sony wants to be in a high margin business, which is having one of their games hit the top 10 because that'll make a lot of money for them. Will it be Helldivers? I don't know. And Slow-Mo, you said Helldivers might end up on this list for PlayStation. It
sounds like Helldivers is more on PC than anywhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
That's when I said it may end up on the PC list. I think for this, for the full year 2024, not necessarily the PlayStation list, because 2/3 of what I saw, 2/3 of the player base for Helldivers 2 is on PC right now. Yeah.
And by the way, every time Helldivers is super successful, Microsoft smiles just a little bit because that means their fees from Azure are still paying dividends. That game is Azure backed.
And I guess the one of the other final points I wanted to make about this is when people tell you the console business is making more money than ever, it is because of these games. But if you look at, and again, Microsoft now owns 2 of the ones that are in the top 10 across the board, but like how much of this money is going to the platform holders? Like a Sony who has whatever their latest margin count was, like 6%, right? So even though the revenue is higher, it's mostly going to these games, right? So if you also factor in hardware sales, which don't really make a lot of money because those are that's a loss leader thing, right? Hardware, except for Nintendo. Like, where's the money really? Where's the money really as a platform holder if you're a Sony or an Xbox, right? I guess Xbox can say Minecraft and Call of Duty and all the ABK stuff now, but without that, and Sony doesn't have any like games like that to speak of other than a 30% cut of these games. I think that's why we're seeing certain decisions get made. So for Sony, it is we haven't really pivoted to PC in full force. So that's a growth vector. Microsoft has already done that. So they have to look for a different growth vector, and they're making dumb decisions like putting Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation, but whatever.
Oh, here he goes.
I'm not salty anymore. But the point is, they don't have PC to turn to as a growth vector like Sony does. So they're kind of going there first. Mobile is another point. Someone brought up COD Mobile, but I think really what you're talking about is Warzone Mobile. Mobile is a growth vector. And adapting your current IP list into mobile versions that make sense for that vertical is another way to go. So we've seen Diablo Immortal, we've seen Warzone Mobile, we've seen Sega do Sonic Dream Team, which was probably better than Frontiers, which is wild. So that's another area of growth. But my core thesis is that the reason people are choosing PlayStation over Xbox, even though the top 10 games that they play are also available on Xbox. I think it's because of those exclusives that they may not play. Or they beat it, and they put it down. So their playtime still goes towards this. And that's why
access is what you're talking about. It's access to games that you can't get anywhere else. And then now, because you mentioned Hi-Fi Rush, it's potential access for games that you previously would have said, I need to buy this to get that now people will, regardless of whether the platform says it's going over there or not, automatically assume what's coming here eventually. So I guess you just get this PlayStation because it's getting more content than its competition.
Right. And again,
whether that's right away or down the road.
And if you play God of War and you beat it in 30 hours, there's really, there's not as much of a reason to go back as there is to Fortnite, right? So just because these 10 games are in the top 10 doesn't mean they aren't also buying Sony's exclusives,
a whole bunch of,
and then playing these other things, right? So I think, to me, Starfield shows us that keeping single player games like Hi-Fi Rush, goddammit, keeping single player games exclusives is where you go, and you can put multiplayer games on multiple platforms. That's just how I feel about the whole. This list is further confirmation to me of that theory, but we'll see what they do.
But I would
Shout
also
out to the man Tate Talks in the chat. What's going on, brother? Welcome. Go ahead. You can have the last word, Infinite. Go ahead.
I would also point to this and ask you guys this question: like, how tough is it, just looking at this list, where you can see like 9 point whatever years, 7 point whatever, then when Nintendo, like, they're exclusives typically for 4 years, whatever. Like, how tough it has to be to crack that code with these live service games to even get them to matter. Look at GTA 5. That's been there since 2013.
Yes,
sir. Like that's 10 years. Excuse me, 11. Well, I guess you could, not close to 11 because it came out in October. So let's just say 13 years. 10 years, excuse me. 10 years of that already. You got Counter-Strike. That was 2012? No,
Counter-Strike has been on forever. Like, ooh,
that's been a long time.
Yes.
Counter-Strike can be played on your old PC, Umbra.
Yes.
Can be played on that.
You were playing Counter-Strike in college back in 2002.
You can play Counter-Strike on any dusty foot PC you can find at this point.
My 16 still would have made it then. Okay.
Hell yeah. You would have gotten over 100 frames on that dusty
PC. On your current PC, the counter wouldn't even be, it's just too many frames. It wouldn't even give you a number. It'd just be like infinite. It'll be the infinite symbol.
The real world with the game.
You go look at the FPS counter. It's gonna say you got it, bro.
You got it. You good.
But I was saying, like,
don't need to look at me.
How hard do you think you guys think it has to be then? Even more so with Sony, when obviously they picked up on it and said, hey, we got to try to get these live service games out there. They struck gold so far with Helldivers 2, and shout out to Arrowhead. They know what they're doing here. If you see what they do, I have nothing but love for that game. And I really do hope
they're killing it with the updates too. They are keeping it fresh. They are killing it with the updates. Arrowhead is keeping Helldivers 2 fresh. That's the big thing that really kind of trips these kind of games up, where they can't really crack this top 10 bubble, is that keeping the people who jumped in and tried out your game and enjoyed it, invested months later, letting them know that there are ways that we're doing and we're implementing. We have a roadmap, and we're actually delivering on that roadmap, and we're going to keep things consistent and fresh for you, so that you don't, because the last thing you want is that player to go, hey, this was fun for a while, I'm about to go back to Fortnite.
Exactly.
Because when that happens, they're not coming back to you anymore, and that's where you kind of fall off. Like, I think the finals is a fun game, but the finals has lost a significant number of their player base, and they may have solidified to having a consistent number of players that can keep that game going for as long as they're willing to keep putting content in it, but it's not enough to crack this top 10.
You know, that's not Everborn. You were saying something on it, but
yes, go ahead.
Maybe Sony should have picked up Arrowhead instead of Bungie.
No, don't start down that path, sir.
I mean, if you want people to teach you how to make a game that sticks and know how to put
come on,
interested, it would have cost them $300 or $3 billion less. I'm just.
I understand that slow-mo backslap is here, and as such, you must raise your slander level to higher heights. But that's a little too far, sir.
I don't think so.
Even Arrowhead was not aware of what they had.
It might not be enough.
The servers, you know.
We might not be going hard enough. I'm sorry, Bungie why buy them? Why was they so they can go tell, hey, this is how you make live service game. As we are failing and missing our revenue targets by 50%, as our player base has abandoned us because we've been not giving them what they wanted all this time, and then Arrowhead comes in and shows you what's up. Yeah, Bungie.
And a lot of the problems 343 had was because of the crusty engine that Bungie left behind, but that's neither here nor there.
No, we ain't gonna give 343 the excuses.
Stop. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying the slander this morning, if you are enjoying the slander, please consider hitting that like button. Consider subscribing. Join our members here. Enjoy the Saturday morning slander. We will move swiftly along with what some people would never want to talk to us again. Let us move to more fun, interesting topics before I bring us down with another. I think it's a little bit of a fun article, but we'll see. But let's first and foremost talk about some potential exclusives, some leaks that are happening here. You see on your screen, Tom Henderson, Insider Gaming. He's dropping nuggets that he expects that Call of Duty Black Ops Gulf War will be featured at the Xbox June showcase. Now, we can combine that with also the talk of Grub, the Grubster, Sir Grub himself, talking about Gear 6, also potentially having some eyeballs on it come June. I will start with you first, Mr. Everborn Saga. What are your thoughts? Is this to be excited for, or is this one of those cautionary tales where you're just like, hey, man, 5 minutes ago they were dropping bombs here and there, and it ended up not being true. So the grains of salt are huge right now. What are your thoughts, sir? And if you're talking, you're on mute. Everborn Saga.
My bad. This seems logical, right? But as I understand it, they will first introduce the game in its own event outside of the showcase. So that won't be the first reveal of it, but it will be featured there, if I understand that correctly. Mm-hmm. And again, they own them now. I know it's hard to believe. Like, even me, I still consider ABK as a separate thing. But they've done a lot of restructuring, right? They're streamlining a lot of things. They want to have a more clear message. So these things are going to go together. And what it also means is that the marketing deal has effectively expired with Sony if it's going to be at this showcase. Right. And so I'm very interested to see what that does for the brand, like tying themselves to Call of Duty. And then we'll talk about the Gears thing in a second. But I think that I'm very excited for the June showcase, aside from all the other drama around Xbox. Because guess what? I don't know if you've noticed this. Their last few first-party showcases or dev directs have been great.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Right? They've been excellent.
So I fully expect this to be, and again, everybody's teasing that this is going to be a big deal. And I thought last June showcase, where they first showed us Fable and Clockwork Revolution, I thought that was like an E3 of Dreams kind of thing, right? So if they're gonna go even further, and now you have this stuff here, because you know what else is probably gonna be there? That Diablo update, right? Sure. Which I'm very excited for. I don't care about the Diablo seasons, but I was a big fan of the campaign. So and it kind of ended in a place where I need to see what happens. So shout out to Tina and Meanie. So I do think like imagine a showcase like that. Like you get a deep dive into this year's Call of Duty. You finally get Gear 6 revealed, and Coalition is going to melt your face. Like you already know it. That's a foregone conclusion.
What
right?
engine are they using again, Everborn?
Oh no, you mean the heavy engine that keeps everything at 30 frames? That's neither here nor there, sir.
For console
Unreal
users.
Engine 5.4, which is not the version of Unreal Engine that everyone else is failing with. But continue.
True.
Oh,
That
some
is
of them have
true.
to add a
That
little
is true.
extra to it. But my thing is this: I no longer am shackled by that 30 frames per second.
Oh, here you go.
I told you
Yes.
we're never getting Umbra back. That's
Every
it. He's
time
gone.
he speaks, I see pinkies, and I see freaking what was SpongeBob SquarePants driving the car with his little pinky.
So,
in there. Every time he speaks, man.
I need to make a confession.
Uh-huh.
When Umbra showed off that PC and those specs for like 5 minutes, and it was only 5 minutes.
Yeah, he was like,
I considered going and getting a 4090 rig and putting Play Night on it, because the issues that I have with it on the ROG Ally are because there's not enough RAM there and it buckles. But my machine would have 128.
I hear the ROG Ally is used to buckling, like it's a feature.
Guys, come
Apparently
on,
from what I heard.
Oh Lord! I see
Deco-
one torture now. I'm still being tortured by the ROG Ally. Hey, y'all see this?
Oh, it's hilarious, bro.
No. So for 5 minutes, I thought about it, and then I was like, nah.
Yep.
I'll just wait. Hopefully, we get this Xbox OS at some point, and then I'll build.
Y'all are just being
Fun.
ridiculous right now.
But anyway, regarding this, I
going.
think this year's Xbox show. This is not based on anything I've heard. This is just me looking at what they've been doing recently. Because even though they haven't found a rake that they didn't step on, their shows have been legitimately great. Like the last two Dev Directs were great. The last showcase was amazing, right? And so I fully expect for them to knock it out the park. And if we are gonna get Gear 6 and some of the other games, maybe Contraband, maybe we see Perfect Dark.
Maybe Fable. We better see Fable.
There's this that's been rumored. There's State of Decay that's been rumored. Like it's all rumor and speculation at this point. And then of course there's Gear. So that's the whole rumor mill as it is right now.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be bigger than that. Like I think it's gonna be. But listen, I fully also expect to see Clockwork Revolution and see some some gameplay of it. So
I don't expect to see that. I don't think we'll see that. I think
why would you expect Fable and not Clockwork Revolution?
Because I think Fable is closer to release than Clockwork is.
I would have thought it was the other way around. I would have thought Clockwork was closer than Fable.
I actually think Clockwork might release this year. It looked
no chance.
Well, I mean, Fable's a bigger game for certain, but Fable's also been in development longer.
True.
Than Clockwork has. And they have a bigger team working on that game than In Exile has working on Clockwork. That's when I saw Fable, and maybe that was just me personally, I kind of felt like this is a game that's going to release in 2025. And if it is a game that's going to release next year, you should probably show it this year again.
Listen, I'm all for it, but I do think now here's my question, and this is for the whole panel. Sorry to sorry, Kay. I'm asking a question to the panel.
Go ahead.
If like this show is what we, or at least I think it's going to be, which is balls to the wall amazing.
I like what 9 Lives is saying right here. Satya told Phil, empty the clip.
Right? If it is amazing,
Booty deliver.
You see Fable like gameplay, and you see, Call of Duty, they announced that the back catalog for Call of Duty is going to be in Game Pass and all of that. And it's amazing and it's everything you wanted it to be. Is that enough to drown out the drama of the first 6 months of the year? If they knock Like, just imagine they do everything that you hope that they would do in your wildest dreams. Is showing off these games enough?
If they have a show much like they did last year, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Anywhere near as close as good as last year's was, I think it would cut out a lot of that immediately.
There's a difference between this year and last year. Last year we didn't have the guillotine hanging above their head, which is, when is this game coming to PlayStation? Because that question is going to be coming up every single time a game is shown. Is this one coming to PlayStation? Is it going to? How long before this shows up on PlayStation? Whether they say it is or not, they have allowed that narrative to be created, and now you can't, just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it won't be something that will be said. And so, guarantee when we get to June 9th or whenever they say there's rumored that the Xbox showcase will be, we will be hearing that question asked more than once.
Listen, did you see in the gaming bolt preview of Hellblade, they was like, this game is so good, it's a shame that it's not on PlayStation because they've done all this work and it more people should get a chance to play it. Like, they're doing that now every time there's a great game. If this show is great,
that kind of review would not have happened if there weren't 4 games that originally were not slated to be on PlayStation, either already on PlayStation or about to release on PlayStation.
I agree a little bit. I think they would have done that regardless. I've seen them do that well before Microsoft started bringing their games over to PlayStation. They were like, man, why is this not over on here? Like, when are they going to put Forza over here? I've seen them doing that before.
Real quick, gentlemen, I put a poll in the chat for the viewers and those in the chat. The question is the Xbox of Dreams, quote unquote, this June enough to drown out the FUD? The options are: finally, yes, hell no, I hope so, and Xbox tax. Please cast your vote. Continue.
Yeah. So the only thing I would add to, I guess, what Slow-Mo is saying, I just think you're right that guillotine is hanging over them, right? They're like the dude that like cheated, and now every time he goes to hang out with his friends, he's getting the side eye.
Yeah. Come back and get his drawers mailed.
So, man.
So that I think is going to be interesting to watch because I fully expect this to be amazing. I just don't know, and I think that'll be telling for them too. And the thing that I wanted to say to you, Slow-Mo, was I don't think it's just the 4 games because.
Oh yeah, I agree.
No. That's a separate conversation of more games coming. I'm saying I don't think it's about that 4 games went, because I think if Hi-Fi Rush, I hate to keep beating this dead horse, right? But if Hi-Fi Rush was not in that list,
he says while holding a cudgel ready to beat the horse even further. Keep going, yes. Keep going.
No. But if Hi-Fi Rush wasn't in the list of the 4, people would be like, oh, they're just doing those because they're multiplayer. Like, even if they didn't like it. So when Hellblade comes out, no one is going to think, oh, Hellblade could go to PlayStation.
But Pentiment is also in the list. But Pentiment is also in the list. That's a single player game.
Pentiment don't count, though.
There will be no Josh Sawyer slander on this show.
He blocked you. Because
we will keep Pentiment's name out our mouths because I want to interview that man one day. Calm down.
Josh, I love Pentiment. Pentiment was an awesome game. Don't block me. That's all Everborn.
Don't matter, and you can't block me twice. So
yes, he can. He actually unblock you and then have the pleasure of blocking you again. Yeah, you didn't even realize it.
We're gonna tag you with it too. We're gonna tag you then block you.
I really think they miscalculated the value of Hi-Fi Rush by only looking at the numbers. And I really think the community went the way it did because of Hi-Fi Rush. If it wasn't for that one specific game, people wouldn't be saying all of these things are going. I really feel like it's tied back to that one game, because it is the new IP that everyone loved. It had everybody looking in the direction of Xbox. They were window shopping. They weren't going in the store, but they were looking in that direction. If that was followed up with other games, that could have began to turn the tide. But in people's mind, Hi-Fi Rush broke the Xbox community's understanding of what could go where, because they always knew that Xbox would put games in other places, but the questions that they will now have forevermore of will it come to PlayStation is because of Hi-Fi Rush. And
I slightly disagree. I do not think that people always knew that Sea of Thieves or Grounded would go to PlayStation. And I think
I've been advocating
they
for that
always
for a while.
felt that, like, hey, when you play a multiplayer game that's from a Xbox first party studio, you can expect to be playing that game with PC players and on mobile through xCloud if you so choose to do so, but not on PlayStation and not on the Nintendo Switch. And I think I've been saying this from the very start. Any of those games going opens the floodgates for people to 100%. Assume that more go. But I do agree with you. Hi-Fi Rush is the one that hurts them the most, because here's a game that was one single player by their own admission on what should or should not go. That shouldn't have been one to go. And then two, it's a game that was highly regarded by people in games media as well as the gaming community. And not only did it go over there, it was only on the Xbox platform and console exclusive for a year. And it already you're putting it on everything.
Better on there too?
I need to talk about that. I do need to talk about that.
Better. All the games that they put over there perform better on PlayStation than they do on Xbox.
I need to add some context to the Hi-Fi Rush thing. The Pentiment thing is totally Josh Sawyer's fault. So,
hey man, what did I tell you, man? Stop slander. But the Everborn Saga.
It was a bug that you forgot.
I don't know if you're welcome here.
Guys, there are 100 people, and by the way, there's 300 people watching this. Salute to all y'all. There are 100 of those 300 coming straight from Twitter. So chances are Josh is watching you right now.
I hope you are listening, Josh. You did not know that the Xbox version of the game didn't have 120 working, and then you released it on play. Listen, you deserve it. Anyway, listen.
Hey, look.
I ain't gonna
Josh,
on that one.
Don't block me.
Annoying to me.
but he's right. Everborn is right. You should not have released that PlayStation version with 120 frames
and you know what?
And not have that on the home court.
I will let Pixel G's chat. I will let Pixel G's chat explain the whole situation right there. Y'all can keep talking.
Well, listen, my thing about it is I agree with you 100% Everborn on that. For one, with 120, like, it's nothing, right? Nobody's really going to do that, and I doubt many people will even touch Pentiment on those other consoles. But the problem is the optics. And then, of course, it goes back to what you said about Hi-Fi Rush and slow-mo. 100% agreed. I think those games would have come anyway, and any game releasing would have caused the speculation that we got. But Hi-Fi Rush, to me, was the biggest slap in the face, because it was like, this is brand new IP, is well received everywhere, getting praise everywhere. The media did not get a chance to slander it or throw any dirt on it. It is high rated. And then you say, well, this is an exclusive that you can only get here, and maybe, of course, PC, but that you can only get here on this console at least. And now they've taken that away and said, okay, well, no, PlayStation gets it too. And I don't know if the ends justifies the means rather justifies the ends there in that case, because what did they gain from that outside of just bringing more doubt about what else will go? So I don't know if they can put that genie back in the bottle, but I think this showcase will help if it's as good as last year's.
While you're speaking there, hold on. While you're talking Infinite Number, I want you to give us your whole thoughts. And I'm not just talking about how good it would be.
This point that I needed to make about Hi-Fi Rush, though.
But we're not talking about Hi-Fi Rush. You keep trying to bring.
No, but I was making a point about the performance, and then we moved on. Let me just say that thing, then we could go to the next thing. So with Hi-Fi Rush, the issue is not that it performs better on the PlayStation, is that the PlayStation it renders the shadows in a better way, right? Yeah. And so the thing about that is a thing that is on Unity, because even if you had a 4090 PC, the shadows would look the same the same way. I said Unity, but I meant Unreal. So Unreal Engine 4, the way it renders shadows in a cell shaded way on PC and Xbox, it has nothing to do with power. It is just they render them more sharply on the PlayStation. Unreal Engine 4 handles cell shaded shadows better on PlayStation than it does on PC or Xbox. That is not the fault of Xbox, because hardware won't matter for you, and the performance is and it has to do with the Vulkan backend and how that translates across the board. So I don't think we can blame Xbox for that shadow thing, and I think that Digital Foundry overplayed that, and that was unnecessary, because it can't be a bad look if it's not. I mean, it's bad look that they put it there.
It's a bad look.
It's a bad look.
Why it's there? Why does not matter. If it looks better on your competition, it's a bad look, and this is why you should not have even put the game over there in the first place.
Right? They should. I agree with you there. They should have never put it there. But the shadow thing is out of anybody's control. That is a Unreal Engine 4 thing. And then with the game nobody cares about, Pentiment.
Damn, man. You
guys, have you even played Pentiment?
Hey,
absolutely not.
Sawyer gonna treat him like
you are fraud now here.
No, sir. I was blocked before the game came out, and I would have played the game. But
what's that guy do with you slandering a game you've never played, sir?
What does that have? Why did I get blocked from a person I never even spoke to?
Probably because your mouth, man.
Maybe he was tired of seeing you talk about Sonic on his timeline.
Oh, well, good. And I'm tired of hearing about his game that nobody's playing. So the thing is,
y'all ain't never getting him here, Kay.
I gotta mute this man. What is going on right now?
So the thing is this with what do you call it? Pentiment, that is a Unity engine thing, right? And again, part of it is the unit. No. Pentiment is Unity.
That is Unity. You're right.
Right.
It is Unity.
So what is really going on is these ubiquitous game engines like Unreal Engine and Unity have better integration with the PlayStation, and so
it's more the Vulkan backend.
Yeah, sure.
Vulkan, that's what that is. Yeah.
And so I just think that we have to. I mean, listen, they shouldn't have put him there for this question to be even be asked. But now that we are here, that is just the context that I feel like was left out even from Digital Foundry. So that's it. We can go and we can move on.
All right. Well, before we move on, let me ask Infinite Umbra, sir. These are all games coming to your platform, most likely. These are all games that you're gonna be enjoying on your big dog PC, sir.
Yes. Regale me with my praise for this new PC.
Yes. So, sir, and this is what I see every time he speaks. Sir, tell me your thoughts, sir. How excited are you for these games? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm about to blow V8, so.
I'm just leaving this on screen.
Hey, yo.
I'm leaving this on screen. This is him. Yeah, this is him. Go ahead.
I don't know if you all want to hear me because the chat is going to get mad at me.
Go ahead, man.
Let them be mad. Let them be mad.
This freedom, Slow-Mo. It's I don't know. The best thing I can say is just freedom. Give us free. Give us free. You know, I feel like CK right now. I feel
freedom feels good, don't it?
It does.
Just choose how to play your games however you want to play them.
Exactly.
Speak, brother. Speak.
It max with ray tracing and all those good things.
Ray tracing, not even Walmart ray tracing that AMD does on consoles as well as PC, but NVIDIA
not AMD's catching bodies.
Yeah, the
AMD's catching strays now too. Come on, guys. Come on, calm down.
It's a thing to be free. And especially after I've suffered so much with that 1650.
Oh my god.
Yes, man.
So if you're asking me, Kay, the only thing I can do, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Listen, like, you know how you try to feel like talk magnanimous, like, well, it'll be all right on console. No, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I feel bad for you all now.
Okay, no. Now we stop.
No, okay, stop it. Let me his mind.
Let me say this.
What is going on, man?
Black John said, "Stop that, man."
Indeed, we're gonna have to mute you, man. Calm down.
He pities the fool.
He lost Josh Sawyer. Now y'all about to lose the chat with this. So
I'm about to lose everybody. What are y'all doing today?
Honestly, I'm trying to be magnanimous, and I'm trying to be like,
I'm sure you are. Go ahead.
But I cannot help
Go
it
ahead.
because now
Bot Hammer 21K. Go ahead, man.
I have this air of freedom. That's what I'm going to call it. I don't want to call it smugness, but I have this air of
free.
that when I see these games here, Kay, and I see, for instance, Hellblade 2, which is going to set that standard for what true next gen, what we thought we would get. I am relieved to know, Slow Mo, that not only will I be getting this game in Unreal Engine 4.5 or whatever else you described it as,
well,
I will also be able to play it at 60 plus frames. I will not be hindered and I will not be shackled.
No, you won't. No shackles on you.
If y'all keep this up, y'all didn't land. What's gonna happen?
We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on Xbox.
Wow. The FPS didn't land.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. So, enough of this.
Wait, I do have a question for Umbra though. I have a question for Umbra.
Yes, please.
So I saw you put a picture out there. You have it plugged into the OLED. How is that going?
It is gorgeous, as you can see from those images. Kay, you might. I'll
put it back up. I'll put it back. Calm down.
Do you worry about burning and all? How do you handle that? What do you do for your start screen or whatever it's called, your desktop?
So the beautiful thing about the LGC one is it has a refresher on there, 4 pixels that'll erase that, so it will stop help to prevent burnout. That's one. 2, though, I've already have it set up on a PC, and I looked it up to make sure that I'll have the screensaver or whatever, or the background wallpaper. It'll change to a different one, so there's no static wallpaper. You can also use solid colors, for instance. I also minimize the icons and such so that they'll disappear when I'm not hovering near them. So all of those things stops all of that. I'm set. Oh yes, look at it. In all of its 4K 120 hertz glory.
Yeah, and you know, at the taskbar at the bottom, you can have it set to hide that in typical Windows fashion, so that the only time it's really shown is when you need it. You just scroll down, and then it pops up when you need it. Exactly. And when you're not using anything where you don't need to open the taskbar or need anything on it, then you just, it's just hidden. So it's not, these are things that we keep telling people, that people are like, well, I like to play on my big 65-inch OLED. You can still do that on PC, clearly.
Well, let's have a quick conversation because I've wanted to talk about this. And before we do, and exactly in this realm, okay. Before we do, MJ Dark $2 super chat with the slander. He says none of that ROG Ally RT or performance, sir. You are the handheld master. Stop slandering your babies, man. Stop slandering your babies. And then of course, the man Hargeet Chani. Just dropping some PCMR, and then he's peacing out. I appreciate you being here. I wanted to talk about this, okay? Because I've heard people say, hey, the use of the MR part is not something that people feel comfortable with. I have to say, I kind of agree. It has bad connotations. It feels a little icky every time somebody says that, even though I understand what the context of it is, okay? And in the same way that I know a lot of console folks that would probably head more in this direction, or potentially think about doing this hybrid approach that you have, Umbra, if they saw how easily this could be achieved, as far as having it be on your TV. And literally, because I know people who are literally, I won't play on my PC. Their PC is literally a foot away from the TV. You could just plug it in and achieve this thing, okay? I think the PCMR thing has kind of soured people. It kind of has some bad connotations. So the title of this show I chose for a reason. hashtag get a PC. Okay. Now, when I say that, the first thing that people will do, it rubs people the wrong way. Or if you are a PC man, you're like, yeah, go get a PC. That's not exactly what I mean. So go here with me real quick, okay? And this came about, this is the recent occurrence, came about, it's been Dragon's Dogma, it's been all these. The recent occurrence is, of course, Hellblade 2, right? Which we hear in its infinite, like glorious realism, like setting a new standard, will run at 30 frames per second on console, right?
Dynamic resolution, by the way.
Of course, dynamic resolution. It will not be solid. And there is an argument to be made that these days, depending on how good your scaling is, sometimes it's even better than solid. But that's been only on the NVIDIA side of the house. But hey, you know, in certain cases, you don't really need native resolution, so that's fine. But I guess what I'm saying when I bring this up is, like, I was talking to the man, the great Boomstick, and we talk all the time, myself and Mr. Boomstick, and I think this slogan works better than PCMR because he and I can be one in that. He plays on his console exclusively, so much so that even when the game is like, it's easy, he could easily turn it. He has an ROG Ally. He will wait until it comes to console before he'll tap into it, right? But he understands what the PC offers. He makes the choice to deal with the constrained PC console performance. But of course, what does he get on the flip side of that? He gets convenience. He hits a button, the thing turns on, he's playing his game, right? He's not pixel peeping, he's not literally side by side, all Digital Foundry style. No, he's enjoying his game, but he gets a PC. He gets what that thing offers him, right? He gets it. I get a PC because although I play everywhere and I have a PC and we all do all that, you'll see me playing on handhelds all the time. That is nothing but a debilitated environment with concessions everywhere. But what do I give up my 4K ray trace stuff for? I give it up for the convenience of picking it up and keeping it moving, right? Like, I get a PC. What I mean by get a PC is understand the hardware that is in front of you. Understand that even consoles that are considered PCs these days, because they're all running the fundamentals of it, right? Understand that you, like the other analogy I made, you do not expect IMAX footage from your home TCL TV. That's ridiculous. You would not expect that. Understand what is in front of you. And I feel like that has kind of led a lot of folks astray. People listening to what they think should be available, what they assume would be available, and then the realities of what actually is the technology kind of hits you, and then you feel like you've been led astray, and you feel now betrayed, right? So my slogan these days, you won't hear me say PCMR, you'll hear me say get a PC. And when I say that, I mean understand a PC. And if you understand it, and you really, really care about them frames, you really, really care about seeing the highest fidelity, then that get a PC equals purchase one. You may choose not to. I see some great members of the community that we talk to all the time. I don't know if he's even in here. Philly Eagle, like a bunch of people who they get PCs. They choose not to go there. I don't want to play on a PC. I want to play in the living room. But at least he won't complain when he sees this 30 frames per second running on Hellblade, because you can
still play your PC in the living room, by the way.
Sure. But all that
stuff is misinformation. You know, it's just misinformation from console people who heard this misinformation from other console people who don't know what they're talking about.
Well, but one thing I will say, Slow, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. One thing I will say is there is more work to be done on the PC side to make
sure.
Right. So if you're not about that, like for example, you and I were chatting in the background. I think it was yesterday. You know, I'm a handheld gamer. I enjoy my handheld left and right. Right. You are not a handheld gamer. Right. And your experiences with handhelds have kind of put some kind of a not a salty taste in your mouth about it, but like your experiences haven't been that level that may want you to incorporate it. When we talk about handhelds, you bring up the Switch, and I'm like, get that childish toy out of here, right? When we talk about handhelds, you talk about the ROG Ally. I'm like, get that ergonomic ridiculousness out of here. There are other options, but since they have not been your options, since you haven't tried them, you have a perception that may be outdated. I feel like a lot of that is
maybe
here.
It's been mostly for me the feel of playing a handheld has made my hands cramp, and now that because may still
you've
be
only
the
had
case.
Little guys in your hands.
Hey, now no Diddy. No, sir. Hey, look, and that's not the opposite either. I don't have big eyes in my hands either. No, hey, let's just
where did this
talk about this at all. What I'm saying is that I've yet to play a handheld that has felt great. That doesn't mean that the Legion Go will feel great, in my hands, paws. That it does in anyone else's hands. What I'm saying is that it's just, and even if it did feel great, the way I game, I'm probably not going to use it as often as other people use it, because when at those time periods when they use it, I'm too busy doing other things. So it's just better when I'm gaming in my office or at other times, sitting with, in the living room area on the actual big TV. So those are the times where I'm just not going to go to a handheld, and I'm fine with that. That's different. I understand why people play with handhelds and why it works for them. But I'm not going around saying for everyone, this is a encumbrance that that no one should have to deal with. That's what console people say about PC when they don't know. They're like, they have this this mindset that every time you play a game, I gotta update my drivers. I gotta do. That's not the reality.
You know what I call that? I call that Windows 95 problems. It was solved a long time ago.
Right, but that does happen every time I pick up the wrong ally after a couple of weeks.
Do you know where that happens to me all the time? Every time I turn on my Series S, it needs a console update. Then I play a game, it needs an update there. And you know why that is? Because I don't play it all the time.
Because you don't play it, right?
Technology that you leave dormant for a while will do that to you. Why is only PC getting that?
When I finally put back up the PlayStation, I had a bunch of updates to do for it.
A bunch of updates. You know the reason why I missed the first window of Stellar Yams? Because I was too busy updating the damn thing, and by the time it was done, they took it away. Every piece of online technology.
No yams for you.
You don't. No yams for me. Every piece of online technology that you don't play constantly and keep updated, when you hit that button, will require some updates. That's just across the board. But for some reason, people are stuck in Windows 95 territory. I gotta update my drivers. Get out of here with all that. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. So I guess this is me trying to say, and Slow-Mo, I hear you. This is me trying to say, maybe I'm taking this as a lack of updating of understanding or updating of education, and telling folks you can choose. You can make your choice and say, look, I'm a console player. That's who I am. That's why I talk to Boom all the time. He is a console player. That's who he is. He fully understands what the PC is capable of and what it can give him, but he chooses to play on console. He gets a PC, and he's made the choice to stay on his console. But he will not be complaining when he hears this thing is 30 frames, because he knows what he's giving up in order to achieve his convenience. I feel the need. I feel the need that more of people should start getting a PC. Understand what PCs offer you and what they don't offer you, versus your own console. You know what I'm saying? Am I off base here, Slow-Mo? Please.
I mean, no. You're not off base. If and I had this conversation with, shout out to Erodimus in the chat on DPS last Thursday. We had this conversation. I'm not telling people who are satisfied with the experience that console gives them that why are you satisfied with this? You shouldn't be satisfied with that. No, your personal preferences are your personal preferences. You're fine. And we know gamers out there. I interact with people in this gaming community all the time that advocate for quality mode 30 FPS on consoles. It's not for me. But if you are fine with that, and when you have the option of a really good performance mode where you get 60 FPS solid, and you still choose to go 30 FPS because you want to see the better visuals on that mode, more power to you. You aren't the person that because those aren't the people that are complaining about Hellblade 2.
Those people get PCs. They get what that's about, and they've chosen to be where they are, right?
Right.
Those who are complaining don't get PCs. They don't get it.
Exactly. Those who are complaining about there not being a 60 frames per second mode on Hellblade 2, you are the people that I'm looking at you a little sideways. You saw what happened with Redfall. Not that, you want to play Redfall right now, but you saw what happened when they said Redfall was going to be 30 FPS at launch. You saw what happened with Starfield being 30 FPS. Now here you are with Hellblade 2 and it's 30 FPS and you're upset. You know what you should be upset about? Your choices. Your decisions. That's what you should be upset about, because you had the opportunity to save up some money. I don't know, man. Go get a paperboy route. I don't know. Don't eat out for lunch every day. Do something. Save up the money. Maybe even trade in some hardware, some console hardware that you're not using. Do whatever you need to do. Build yourself a PC and enjoy the frame rate.
Hold on. Wait.
This is why they call y'all names. They call y'all with that PC best race.
Hold on.
These just poor shaving people who don't got $4,000 and a master's degree in computer science to go and do PC gaming. That's not nice, Romo.
I'm just saying, if you're broke, you're broke. Figure it out. Look, I'm trying to help them, okay? Like there are avenues that you can take.
You need to cut it out.
If you got some money,
this is that we got a console for you, bro. If you work in a submarine.
Let me say this. Let me say this real quick.
I don't work for these companies, so I can say that.
When I say get a PC, I also mean, like, if you want to purchase a PC, you don't have to get a big dog monster PC. You do not. Because at the end of the day, the reason you're stuck at 30 frames is because the developer chose to lock it to 30 frames. By and large, and you mentioned Redfall, right? Redfall was horribly optimized at first. But guess what? Redfall was also built as a 60 frames game. That's why eventually it came out on 60 frames, right? They limited it on console because the frame rate was all over the place at launch. And why bother have people deal with that? They want the convenience, lock it to 30. That's what they did to you because you wanted the convenience. If you want to deal with it yourself, if you want to figure it out yourself and you might be able to get better, you could go buy a freaking ROG Ally for $299, not the Z1 Extreme version, but the non version. And you can fiddle with the LOD settings and all of this, and possibly get 40 frames. If you're on a screen like Mr. Infinite Umbra here, you can get it right in the range where VRR takes care of the rest. You don't need to buy a monster rig. What I'm saying here is, and I'm not saying that you're going to get 60 frames from a little handheld. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in the console sphere, they take the choice away from you. If you're lucky, you get a performance mode and you get a visual mode, right? But in order for those modes to be established for you, they must have locked overhead. Otherwise, they're worried about Digital Foundry coming for them. So they give you the lowest common denominator, they lock it in place, and you move forward. If you're not okay with that, deal with it yourself. And you have many options. You don't need to get a 4090 to do that. Even Steam Deck plays better in some games if you fiddle with it a little bit. But that is your choice to make. If you choose not to do that, then don't complain that they're taking choices away from you.
Starfield can unfortunately run 60 frames per second on the ROG Ally. But
there you go.
On the Xbox.
Exactly. And why can it not on an Xbox? Not because it's not capable, but because the developers locked it there, right? They took the choice away from you in favor of convenience. You don't need to be angry that they're taking their choice away from you. You don't need to buy a $5,000 PC to circumvent it. You can literally go buy an ROG Ally for $399 for the new. Well, actually, it's what is it? $499 for the new one, and then for the Z1, and the non Z1 was on sale for $299, $300, and you can literally get it. You can play with it yourself and figure it out.
I just went back in the PC Power Picker to look at my current PC build right now, and how much the parts cost to build my current PC right now, which I don't play anything under 60 frames per second. I can play at 4K native and play a lot of games, but if at anything, turn on DLSS quality mode, which is the best upscaler, by the way, and then still be playing wait at 4K, well above 60 frames per second. $2,700 is what my PC, if you built my PC right now, would go for. This whole talk of, oh, it's got to be $3,000 or more. This is all coming from console guys that don't know what they talking about when they say that stuff.
Wait a minute. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is that PC echo chamber stuff. You just talked about building your PC was $2,700. Add tax and shipping on that, and you get at $3,000. $27 is not right.
First of all, I built my PC. I didn't get a pre-built. Okay, we ain't not going to talk about it.
Shipped to you, didn't you? So now you got shipping for each.
No, it didn't ship to me as a completed thing. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, Umbra. I got the parts. Sometimes I went to Micro Center and bought them and took them home, and then I put my PC together. What I said, $2,700. That's with taxes.
And I am saying, by the time you add everything up, $3,000 is very close to $2,700. So, like saying that people say console gamers say you need $3,000 to buy a PC,
minimum they say
like,
is $3,000.
The console guys were right.
No, they aren't right, because $300 difference is still $300 difference. When you wrong, you wrong. Sorry.
Literally the price of a Series S.
Tell your mama about it. I don't care. You're still wrong.
Can I offer this?
Hold on. And the people that say $3,000, that's the minimum. That's the minimum that they're saying. That they will say $4,000. They'll say $5,000. They be talking all kinds of crazy numbers that they don't know what the heck they talking about.
So can I offer this? The thing is, please. And I get both you guys' points. It is expensive. Now I paid a grip for this thing, and that's why I'm going to brag about it, because I'll be damned.
There he goes.
But this is the thing, and Slow is right in one aspect. You don't have to do it all at once. You can buy these things piecemeal and put them together. It's going to take some time, but then what the end product is, you're going to have something that's going to last you 10 gens worth. Not 10 gens, I'm going too far, but it'll last you 10 plus years, I guess is a better thing to say, if you get a high enough card at the end of that process. So right now with this 4080 Super I have, I'm good for at least for my use, at least I'm good for 10 plus years. I don't need to have this.
When the PS5 Pro shows up, you're gonna be laughing. When the next gen consoles come out, you're gonna be laughing.
So it all depends on what is important to you all. For me, I came to a spot finally where I said performance mattered. And I could not get that from the promises that they kept making us, like politicians, and never came through with it on console. I still love these consoles. I'm still probably going to buy them, being the tech head I am, right, when it comes to that, or at least I don't want to call it tech head because I'm not that adept, but you get what I'm saying. But it comes down to what matters most to you all as console gamers or whatever you are. Does performance matter more? And if it does, then you're going to have to put that money aside and build, build for that. And you can absolutely do it, but it's going to cost. But anything worth having is going to cost you.
Mr. John Wolf bringing your point to light right here, which is with his $5 super chat. Thank you, good sir. He says, Asante, don't forget to mention the most important thing. We cannot fall for the marketing BS they announced with these consoles. It's snake oil. Sir, I do not disagree. I feel like it's a little bit of snake oil, and it's also a little bit of creative listening, right? Because, like, for example, I know that with the whole the whole Hellblade 2 situation, people are like, well, they promised that 4K 60 frames would be the standard. Forgive me, I'm a technologist. I'm a tech guy. I work in tech all the time. Since 2019, they've released 20 games so far, right? And I think it's 80-20 percentage of 60 frames to 30 frames. So 80% standard. That's a standard to me, right? But if that's
one definition of standard. Go ahead.
Bro, USB is a standard. How many versions of USB do you have out there? There's a billion.
Yeah, that is not what we're talking about.
No, I'm saying the standard is not absolute.
Okay, I got about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I know. So that's why we're getting to the heart of the matter right now. That's why we're getting to the
for the console troglodyte, since
please,
I'm surrounded.
Bring it out.
People. So I would just like to let the record.
I want to do away with the word master race. I want to do away with that, but continue. Go ahead.
Slow-mo doesn't. I would like to let the record show that Slow-mo just said console guys have this outdated perception of what it takes to have a PC, and his example was that we say it's $3,000 to build a PC, and he said, "Look at my PC right now. I built it myself. You could build it too, and it costs $2,700." See, you were wrong. This is exactly why people get intimidated by PC. That is my opening.
Intimidated.
Now,
I'll give you that.
That's a little PP energy. I don't know why they intimidated by that. But go ahead.
Man. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. How you get intimidated by someone saying spend some money and build something with your own two hands?
Stick to the PP analogy, sir. While I talk about all of this,
Lord help us,
all of this PC elitism, right? After telling you to go build a $2,700 PC like he did, he also said the reason you can't afford a PC is because you made poor life decisions. This is why people think the way they think.
I did not say that. Oh my God! I did not say you made.
It's our time, the console troglodytes, to respond to you, sir.
No, you know what? Y'all, while y'all talking about the price,
FOMO is the problem.
I'll just put this right here. Keep going. I'll just put this right here. Give me a minute. Keep talking. I know you're representing the troglodytes. Go ahead.
So here's the thing.
You just peep the prices that's popping up here while you talk. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So you can play on PC, and it is easier than. Thank you, Lucius. And it is easier than some people make it out to be, but there are still many hurdles, which is why I believe Microsoft needs to step in and create a more streamlined user experience, and that is where to go. I would even argue, as a console troglodyte, I think the best move for Xbox is to get out of bespoke hardware and move into the PC space, but they have to update Windows so that there's a gaming mode that is more streamlined. Now, before I get out here, Hellblade.
Everborn, real quick. We did see. I understand that Slow-mo did not represent the PC contingent correctly with his PC prices, but you do see there, bro.
All I said was that's how much I spent for my PC. What someone else?
That was a poor example, sir.
That was not a poor example because it was still under 3K. Just because y'all bad at math, which is probably why y'all good with 30 frames per second.
It was $29.99. It's under 3K.
Look at the prices of the PCs that are here that are by and large far more performant than your console.
Okay, first of all, that little Windows 11 puck thing is not far more performant than a Series X.
It is more
that 435.
It is more. The i3. You can get a lot out of that.
Stop Keep going. It. But not. It's not going to be what's on the Series X, and you know it's not going to be. And I understand you want to prove a point, but it's not. That's not even. This ain't
not even about whether it's not even about whether it's more performant or not. You have more options.
No, you have more.
But you said it was more performant than your Series X. That's what you said.
Bro,
you guys just throwing these things out here uncontested, and I'm just here to talk to the console trial.
No, you were capping, sir. There's more freedom on PC, period, because you have more options. Even if your GPU is say like a 3070, that's 8 gigabyte GPU. Sure, you're going to have some limitations, right? And you're going to have to go into but you can go into the settings and say, I want to play this Hellblade 2 at 60 frames per second. Let me change some of these options to do that. You don't have that choice.
You don't have that choice on console. That's what we're saying. It's not about the performance or more or less. It's about the fact that the program, the profile is locked for you on console, whether you like it or you don't. Even if you're playing on this puck that's not as performant,
sure. You didn't say more. You didn't say freedom. You said more performant.
I've also said freedom, but that's neither here nor there. Remember, you've heard me say that the Steam Deck gets 60 frames more than the console does. Why? Not because it's more performant, but because they allow you to make your own tweaks to get it there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need.
Can you highlight? Can you highlight? What's his name? Caldweb's super chat real quick.
Caldweb.
Because it's a $5 super chat. He just said, I know that Black Ronin had one too, and I don't want to like skip over people, but I think what he just said is he said people want a premium experience for budget price. You don't need a 4080 Super like me, but it is going to cost you around $1,500 to $1,700 for something worthwhile. And that price range, I said it I said in the chat way earlier, but like someone yesterday hit me up and said, "Hey, I want to build a PC. Can you like go on PC Part Picker or whatever and like recommend some parts that would?" And I said, "What's your budget?" He said $2K. I said, "Bet." Now it was a little over that. It was like $2,100, but the PC. He was fine with that. The PC that he was like, yeah, this is definitely what I want and it's going to work. And they're talking like that PC would run Hellblade 2 with max settings, probably not with the ray tracing. Maybe actually probably with the ray tracing, maybe like some play with the settings on ray tracing, but max settings for certain. Matter of fact, no, go ahead, go balls to the wall with the ray tracing because he's going to have an NVIDIA GPU in it. DLSS 3.5 allows you to actually they have ray reconstruction on ray tracing where they're actually optimizing that as well, so that allows people with even limited GPUs to turn on ray tracing and not have that immediate hit to your frame rate for doing so.
So hold on.
That game with 60 FPS, no problem.
Lucius is saying it's also 4 times more expensive than a Series X. Yes.
Cares?
Well, hold on.
About.
Wait, you get what you pay for. If you
Thank
want
you.
60 FPS, you must pay for it. What did I say? You can't expect IMAX fidelity on your TCL TV. Understand what you're getting. Get a PC. Get what it is, and you know what I'm talking about. There, Lucius. The man knows what it's exactly. What it's about.
Ain't nobody said you was gonna get that level of performance at $500. So why are you pretending like that's what anyone is saying?
Yes,
really. Wait a minute. You all have to figure out what matters most to you all.
More than what you gotta pay on the console to get the visuals and the performance.
Wait a minute. So either be content at $500 with for the consoles and be content with getting 30 frames.
Wait a minute.
Put aside the money to get something.
Wait a minute. I distinctly remember Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap.
Oh, here you go.
Having choice words for Xbox putting out this game and saying it was going to be 30 FPS, right? Like, so the thing is, I agree with everything you're saying. You get what you pay for, and Hellblade being at 30 FPS does not bother me in the slightest, because the whole point of that game is to be a cinematic experience and have the highest possible fidelity on that hardware, right? And so if you offer a 60 FPS option, they probably could. They would have to they'd have to make concessions, give you lower quality textures, and that is what would be shared around all the time. And then you would see pictures everywhere in that 60 FPS mode. You'd see the Digital Foundry clowning the performance modes, and that is how the game would be viewed. And you'd have Senua Craig face. So if this game is about pushing visual fidelity, then keep it at 30 FPS on the console. And if you don't like that, there is a PC for you.
See, this is exactly what we've been saying this whole time, though. Like,
I understand.
No, Kate. You said, wait, let's see a game that's built up on the Xbox from beginning to end that wasn't originally supposed to be a PlayStation game, and you'll see both sides of that. You'll see the visuals and you'll see the performance, and we're just getting the visuals.
But see, at the end of the day, though, I agree with you. I did say that. You're right, Slow-Mo. But at the end of the day, just because they have this resource does not mean they have to have it in order for 60 frames. Some developers will choose for the whole thing and lock it at 30. You can't hate on them for wanting it to
if
all the friends.
And this is the last thing I'll say because I gotta go now. Yes, and I'm sorry I gotta leave early. But for a game that looks the way Hellblade has been showed to us, and they told us it was running on Series X. Yeah. Now, if we find out that they were lying in the times they showed it to us, and it wasn't actually running on a Series X, and it looks like doo-doo butter when we get it, that's a different story. But for the visuals that they showed us, like if you can't keep it at 60 and keep those visuals, I am okay with that. 30 FPS is fine because you are getting something for it. With Starfield is very different because Starfield, my favorite game last year, but it wasn't like setting the world on fire in terms of visuals.
See, right? But see, this is the problem. This is another reason why I say get a PC. Just because it's not setting the visual world on fire does not mean that you can unlock it to 60 frames. The same thing with Dragon's Dogma.
I completely understand that. All I am saying is if you look at a game that looks like Hellblade and they tell you the concession they had to make was 60 FPS and it's going to run at 30 and it's not really a Twitch shooter, I think that is a perfectly acceptable trade-off. And if Ninja Theory says, I don't want people on the console to experience it with less visual fidelity, then guess what? I support that.
To make, right?
I don't support that.
This is why
it's not giving people choices. It's
if you want choice, get a PC.
Hold on now. It's taking away a preference that people and an expectation that people had for this generation when it comes to their games. It is a expectation that, hey, I get a choice of modes. I not just have one mode. And because the developer from the very beginning said, I want my game.
Who said that was a mandated thing?
Hold on. I wanted my game that what I want my game to be played as, not what the player wants to play my game as, who's spending their money on my game. I want you to play in this mode, and that's it.
But then taking away your money.
Yes. Guess what? The developer is going to say, I want this to be an FPS or over-the-shoulder thing because that's the thing that I'm making. And if you like that, then you go buy the game. The developer is creating the thing and they put it out there. It's up to you afterwards as the customer.
They ain't put it out there. This game been in development for 5 years.
But they putting it out now.
They put it out there less than a month before the game comes out.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
How many times do we see Senua and Mocap doing all kinds of stuff, screaming in the camera, jumping around, all that stuff. And they knew for years this game was going to be 30 frames per second. They could have been said that.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let the record show that a one slow-mo backslap just went on a tirade about if you want this performance, you need to get a PC, and it's not that hard, and you could just build it like he did, or you could go and buy one for $2,700 or whatever number he put out. And then you should not expect a $500 box to do that. And then when the $500 box does not do that, he then blames the developers.
Oh,
I rest my case.
You have not rested. No. Let him rest his case.
No. Come on.
No, you gonna get this rebuttal.
You can slander him when he's leaving.
You can get this rebuttal is what you're going to get. I've been saying, and I've been saying this all week. If you want to make sure that you don't have any concerns, what Umbra's doing, Umbra now has, he doesn't have to worry about what the next game is going to be. He doesn't have to worry about if a Valve's going to have 60 FPS or Fable. He doesn't have to worry about that now because he has a actual capable piece of hardware that actually does it. What
feels good.
No, wait. Let me finish. What you choose to do with the knowledge that these companies don't care about you, what you choose to do to make sure you get the experience that you want is your choice and your decision. That does not absolve the developer or the publisher from not giving you the choice, from not saying, hey, let's drop some of this visual fidelity in order to make sure that we get 60 frames per second. These are two different arguments, and you're trying to combine them in together to defend console losers, losers who are complaining about 30 FPS, meanwhile already knowing what they need to do to not have to deal with that. Those are two different arguments.
Oh, you agree?
We're not going to do this.
You agree?
I don't agree. I don't agree.
Everybody disagrees with you in the chat, Slow-Mo. You wrong.
Stop trying to tell me what I'm saying when you don't. You already know what I'm saying. That's not what I said. You're not going to do that. You're not going to say you agree and then make up some BS that I didn't say. That's what we're not going to do.
You agree that if you want if you want the best performance, you got to spend the money for the hardware. You agree that. And if I were to come to you right now, hold on a minute, Slow-Mo. If I was to come to you right now with a 1080 Ti video card, and I told you, damn, why isn't this doing 4K 120? You would say because you got a 1080p,
there is
1080
no
Ti
on a 1080 Ti. That thing can still run to this very day, and that thing
1080 Ti is still a good card today. Yeah.
Even today, yes.
But it's not doing 4K 120, is it?
And trying to do ray tracing.
I mean, in a lot of games, yeah, you can. Yeah.
So
you can't do any ray tracing because it's not.
Wait a minute. Read that super chat from Lucius Augustus.
Here we go. All right, Lucius, $5 super chat. He says you can tell someone has a bad argument when they can't go through it without insulting everyone.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta go. Slow-Mo, you lose, you get nothing. Good day, sir.
I lose.
He wins.
I've been said my argument. I said my argument for 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, while people gave me bad faith responses, while people like Lucius took in the chat, took what I said and twisted it. Now you get called a loser. At that point, now I will insult you because you out here with bad faith arguments. Now, yes, you are a loser.
You know what it is. You know what's something I noticed? I know it's something I noticed. Slow. The thing is, now I'm realizing moving into the PC upper echelon, the enlightened.
Oh God! Don't you start now? Come on, man.
It's too late, Kay. It's too late. Moving into the ascendant, I noticed the undue hate you get when you start talking common sense, Slow-Mo.
I know, man. It's just common sense. They get mad,
guys. I'm gonna mute y'all if y'all keep it up. Stop it. Let's get some super chats out the way, okay?
I'm not trying to get everybody to hate us. I
am not trying to get everybody to hate us on this show. Stop it. Jax82, $5 super chat. Thank you for being here. He says, I've played Starfield on PC on GeForce Now, where you have the options. Big difference. Want that same experience on console. Is it too much to ask for? It kind of is. It kind of is too much to ask for because unlike, and this is where I say get a PC, unlike other games, Starfield, Dragon's Dogma, to an extent, what it looks like with what do you call it, Hellblade 2, they are CPU heavy. And if you're CPU heavy, there's no scaling that. There's no, well, we'll tweak that back. Oh, we'll tweak that forward. No, it is what it is, and you're stuck with it, right? And because of that, they got to lock you to 30. Dragon's Dogma, as we're all throwing pinkies in there, I got a liquid cooled 4090. I cannot
talk that. Mm-hmm.
I cannot get that game, Dragon's Dogma, to run over 70 frames per second. I can get to about 60 and a half in the city. Even if I'm at like 480
in the city. Because it's CPU bound. So it's about your CPU.
Yeah. Exactly. And your console does not have a CPU that can adhere to that. It just doesn't. Nope. If it was a GPU scaling thing, they could go up and down and then give you what you're looking for. But not every game can do that. And that's why they're like, well, why can't we advocate for a performance mode versus fidelity mode? In those kind of games, it's not possible. You cannot scale it up and down. It is not.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah. And look, we don't know if Hellblade 2, I don't think Hellblade 2, I can say for certain Hellblade 2 won't have the kind of problems that Dragon's Dogma 2 has. All those NPCs in the city with their own scripting, when they're all the stuff that's going on with the AI and like that, that's an issue that's very specific to that game. Hellblade 2 wouldn't have that problem, but it could also be CPU bound.
The problem that Hellblade 2 might have, and shout out to the man Pixelbit G in the chat, he might be able to expound some more. And Infinite Umbra, get ready, your checks are going to either clear or not clear. The problem that Hellblade 2 will have is that Hellblade 2 is bound to Unreal Engine 5, And Unreal Engine 5 is not at a development level tied to engines in the console, right? They're doing Nanite very heavy. They're doing all these things that is not API bound to the console. So it's beating on that console very heavy, right? Later in its maturity of the Unreal Engine 5 engine, and you already hear it now, Epic is working with Microsoft to make it more DirectX friendly. Then you'll see some performance gains there. But today, everything is beating on the console. That's why you will not find a great performing Unreal Engine 5 game out there right now. You just won't, because it's doing great work, no doubt. But Unreal Engine, Hellblade 2 is using like Nanite for the terrain. It's using all this other stuff that is not necessarily tying into the hardware's strengths. It's just using Gen Pop resources, which is beating heavy on the console. You want to know? Play the Matrix demo. You'll be lucky if you hit 27 frames per second. It is beating very heavily on the console. And these guys are going for extreme realism. Obviously, you're lucky you get 30 frames on that. I look forward to seeing how it will play on my hardware, because I don't expect it to run like butter either, right? These are the things you must understand with the hardware in front of you. Hashtag get a console or get a PC. Right?
Hey, can I say this real quick? And look, I'm not saying this is definitely the case, but I was told Hellblade 2 is also coming in hot. So with that being said, at launch, it may not run great on Xbox or PC, as they maybe they need a little bit more time, but they don't have enough time anymore, right? I'm not saying like it forever won't like run smooth, but they need to kind of iron some things out, and they may need a few weeks after that, which that's not an excuse for them, but it is what it is in those situations.
Part of the equation. It is part of the equation.
But like from the very beginning of this conversation, I said that it was the choice of the developer to develop this game in that manner. Like from the very beginning of development, they chose to go this route when it comes to with Unreal Engine and all of its features. Do you need to have Nanite and Lumen?
No,
in order to, but they chose so it's still a choice of the developer whether whether you choose to put that in there, knowing the trade-off you're going to have on consoles. If we're going to put Nanite and Lumen in, it's going to give us this great visual that we're going for. But the drawback to that is that we can't have multiple modes of whether it's performance or quality mode. Are we going to make those choices, or are we going to spend the additional time in development to make sure that we have a performance mode where Nanite and Lumen is turned off, and we're going back to more traditional methods of rendering, reflections, lighting, and things like that, in order to make sure that there's
that might also have a detrimental effect to the visuals they're trying to achieve. They made this choice for a reason,
right? But the thing is, it's still their choice to the detriment of a choice for the gamer, for the console gamer. They're making a choice for you, when typically when it comes to consoles, for the vast majority of these games, we have a choice on consoles of performance or visual.
And you know what, Slow-Mo, that's where I'll push back on you and say, yes, that's true. But by and large, all those games are not this game. All those games are games that have overhead to be able to give you that option. This does not have that overhead because
they have the option. They chose not to take the option. We can't ignore the fact they didn't have to develop the game in this manner.
They also didn't have to develop Dragon's Dogma the way they did either, but it is what it is, right? People gave Capcom the smoke for that, so I don't see what the problem is here.
This is my thing on it though, like, and I don't know, like the way I look at it is this. I don't know if I was just I almost said stuck on console. I don't want to sound like
don't do that, man.
Say it. It's how you feel. Say it, man.
Internally, and if I was just limited to console, does that sound better? I think it sounds.
Would you just get your words out already?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to fight the smugness off me, but if I was If I was just on console, I would look at it like this. For one, Slow is right. If you want these performances, and as we all three of us here know, you're going to have to pay for it. What they promised us, we're just not going to get with this. And of course, they have made these decisions to give us the best fidelity possible on console. So be happy with that, I think. I think cinematic games and 30 frames is the cinematic frames, as they say, right? I think that's more than fine for I almost said Helldivers, for Hellblade 2 on console. It's going to look gorgeous. It's going to be one of the most gorgeous looking games you've ever played. Unreal Engine does not come up short when it comes to that.
Oh, here he goes. I
can only imagine what the coalition is going to do with Unreal Engine when we see Gears 6. You all should, this should not be a thing where we're like divided on this. We should be happy because Hellblade 2 is going to be phenomenal on console and PC.
It's good you say that, because shout out to the man Risk It for the Biscuit. I was watching the Infinite podcast yesterday. Y'all did a great job. I agree with him. He said we should be excited because this is them pushing the envelope. You're not getting these cross-gen kind of, oh, look at us, we're pretty games. No, they're actually giving you next-gen standard stuff now, and that means limiting what you can do from a frame rate perspective. They shouldn't all be that way, 100%, but I agree with him, right? When they push the envelope forward, when you get something you've never seen before, just like Dragon's Dogma 2, for better or for worse, it is a notable time. And maybe they start here, and then next gen and the gens after, they mature that process, and now that becomes your standard and you see more of it. But if you ever want to see next gen give you these visuals be a standard, they got to start somewhere. And that comes with limitations and concessions on the console side. And if you don't want to deal with that, hashtag get a PC. Mr. MJ, $5 super chat. He says John Wolf of the Gamers Playground bent the knee and has gotten a Legion Go. Fraud alert, please. I'm coming for your knees on Monday. Wow.
I had to call our brother John Wolf out too on that. I saw his tweet and I'm like, oh man, yeah, enjoy Yakuza. He's like, would you be saying that if you knew I was playing on Legion Go? I'm like, you are disowned. Get away from me.
The great Infinite Umbra, not only a panel member, but also a member of GCP. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Of course. It's the very least I could do for this great podcast. And of course, I had to subscribe to the Hooved Hijinks portion of
that was literally for you, sir. That was earmarked for you, good sir.
I am home now.
And then Jax82, $2 super chat. He says, I'm not letting them off the hook with Go to PC. We're not asking you to let them off the hook with Go to PC. What I'm saying to you, and look, no one is wrong here. This is not a you're wrong, I'm right conversation, right? I hear you. Many of them said certain things, even if what they said wasn't exactly what they said, the perception, which tends to be in this space, it becomes reality. So people perceive that 60 frames is the floor. Like, a standard is when more of them are that way than the other. But yes, the perception is, from now on, that's where we're going to see it all the time. Now, the reason why PlayStation's been able to do that is because they've been giving you last-gen games repackaged, right? But at the end of the day, the perception is the perception. So I completely understand when you say you're not letting them off the hook. All I'm saying is hashtag get a PC. And when I say that, I don't mean go purchase one. I'm saying understand the hardware that's under your TV. Understand what it can and cannot do, so that you don't get fooled by the okie doke that they give you next time. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. But I appreciate you being here and your continued support, good sir. We have BT Maverick 707 with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for being here. He says they should have an option for consoles to turn on advanced settings and fiddle with it. Like maybe through dev mode or the adventurous way that you're not locked to artist intended BS, hashtag BS exclusives. Absolutely.
Thank you. I love
that. That would then mean you're going to that world of speculation that we were talking about, where just like the Steam Deck, right? They give you a profile. It's pseudo locked in. You don't like that profile, you unlock it. You go in the background. You do what you do, right? That is the future we're all hoping for. But in the world you live in today, where you have a console and it's locked to a profile, even if that hardware can do more, you don't have that option. So hashtag get a PC. That's what I'm just saying, right?
And that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, what would be in a perfect world. It's just not the reality. And so to make sure for your own peace of mind that you don't have to worry about that in the future, it may be, if these are things that you're concerned about, because again, if you are the kind of gamer that is fine with 30 frames per second, okay.
And this is not a problem.
Good, right? Yes. Right. And so this is not a problem with you. Yeah, but if you do have a problem with it, like it doesn't absolve the platform, publisher, developer, whoever from not doing it. But if in order to protect yourself from having to deal with this level of disappointment, you could just go to PC and not have to worry about it. So that's a choice. Yeah, that's a choice that you make for you as a gamer to make sure that you always have the level of performance as well as visuals that you deem acceptable.
Yeah. Black Ronin with a $5 super chat. Thank you for being here. He says, I have a pre-built PC. It's got an i7 3700 or 13700 with 32 gigs of RAM, and that's my
CPU. Okay,
4080, and he bought it for $2650 on Newegg. That is expensive for a console gamer, and it costs 5 times as much. And guess what? That means when Hellblade 2 comes out, you will be playing it with all the frames because you care about that. If you didn't, then you could just play it on your $500 box. Hell, you could play it on your $300 box as far as this Series S, and it would give you somewhat of an experience that would be acceptable. But clearly to you, that is not acceptable. So you invested, and you now have that PC. So guess what? Hashtag you get a PC. You get it. Whether you purchase one or you don't is not the point. You understand what that hardware is capable of and what it offers you, and you feel that value is worth it, so you purchased one. Right?
You need
a premium price for premium performance.
For a premium performance, right? If you want to watch an IMAX movie, go get an IMAX display. Jax82, $2 super chat. He says the Xbox app is trash. Is anyone fixing it?
Hold your breath.
They are fixing it.
100% agree. I hate that app. I've been using it, trying to use it at least on its PC, and I'm like, wow, they're far behind.
I hear it's slow going, but I hear they're fixing it. I hear that, because
they've been saying that since 2019.
Of course they have. So
I mean, at
if
this
you really
point,
don't like it, you know what you can do? You know what you can do? You're already on PC. Check out your boy K Asante's Twitter handle. You'll see really interesting implementations of Play Night. You'll see really interesting implementations of Big Box. All of them. Well, Big Box you have to pay a little bit for.
Oh wait, Play Night, the one that you developed. Okay.
Shut up. I knew that slander was coming. I saw that coming right a mile away. You know? But
I heard you were like a savant in developing things. Like you make stuff in like a day or two. That's crazy, man.
Talented brother right here.
Very talented.
They
need to hire you. Maybe Hellblade 2 will be 60 FPS on consoles. I'm just saying.
Caldwell with a $5 super chat. Hellblade 2 is going to be heavy on PC too. Pray for our brothers and sisters with those 8 GB cards on the mid-range PC's CPUs. Absolutely, sir. Yes, absolutely. Those mid-range folks are going to suffer as well, right? It's just one of those things. But guess what? Those mid-range folks, even though they're suffering, they have options. They have far more options than someone who buys a console and you just get what you get and you don't get upset. I'm a dad. I say that all the time. It is what it is, So these options are what we're advocating for. And of course, the great John Wolf with a $2 super chat, a member of the Missionary Gamer tier, says missionary gamers miss out. Stop that, bro. You will not slander missionary. Missionary is known for many people. We'll move forward. Stop that.
Very famous Diddy position. Yes.
Oh, bro, calm down. No Diddy. Alvin, $5 super chat. He says, I don't think there will be an option to turn off ray tracing or global illumination on PC.
Oh, there will be.
Ninja Cherry see that there's necessary to create these emotional effects after that. See, the thing with a PC is, even if it's not in the settings, you can go in the background, you can do a little bit of this, you can do a little bit of that, and do whatever the heck you want. Right on the ROG Ally, for example, and shout out to the ROG Ally. Back when everyone was getting beaten up on Starfield, there were mods coming out left and right that let you play the Starfield on the ROG Ally over 50 frames per second. Back when it wasn't even possible on X or S, right? The PC always gives you options. That's
guaranteed. In Ninja Theory will give you the option to turn ray tracing off. And even if as Kay said, even if they don't, you could go.
You can go in the background and do it yourself.
In the background and do it, or there'll be a mod on Nexus Mods the very next day that does it for you. So you'll have that option. But I don't think Ninja Theory would do that. They understand that PC gamers want that level of freedom and that level of ability to customize the experience. They will provide that.
That's right. And cheap plug, if you feel those PC waters are deep, that's when you come to myself and Mr. John Wolf on Monday nights, the Gamers Playground. We'll answer any of your questions. We'll show you what Nexus Mod is. We'll show you the easiest way to achieve what you want to achieve. We all learn and grow together. Nobody's better than anybody else. It's a good tent. It's not that's why I'm trying to get away with the MR talk. Get a PC, understand a PC, join us. And of course, the great post up with a $5 super chat. He says, hit the like button. Thank you, sir. Everyone should do what he is saying because he knows what he's talking about. Now, before we get out of here, because we're having a great show. You know, you came here for the slander and they did not disappoint. There's some breaking news we want to discuss. Folks
today?
Asked about it a few minutes ago, 35 minutes ago to be in fact. Exclusive from friend of the show, Mr. Jez Corden. He drops the nugget that President Sarah Bond has set up a new team that's, get this, dedicated to game preservation and forward compatibility. You know what this tells me?
All right, I like that.
This is the team that is dedicated to, guess what? Hypervising all their consoles. So the back ones get hypervisors, the next ones get, so that way it always exists. I hope people understand what I say when I'm saying hypervising. They're basically creating bubbles, if you will, where in that bubble the console exists and you can continue to play all your games. And they have a team now dedicated to doing this.
And Kay, with that hypervising, wouldn't that possibly be, I can take that and they can place that on other devices? Isn't that the case?
Thank you, sir. Welcome to the line of thinking. Xbox has always been a PC. At its heart, it's had the PC kernel forever. They just put a nice front end on there, real nice, and make you think it's a console. The concept of console died years ago. They've just tied their hypervisor to this box for a long time. They can separate it, tie it to a standard console. Now, it's not to say that, it's easy peasy, you're done. Obviously, it's not to say that at all, right? There's a lot of devil in those details, but it is possible. And how do I know it's possible? Because I deal with it every day at work. This is what I do. So as soon as I saw that that's what they were doing, I'm like, I can't wait for the technologists at Microsoft to write that book because I want to understand who came up with the idea of bringing in a hypervisor from the enterprise level to a game console. Genius, because that solves your back compat, forward compat forever. That's what this is. Now they have a team dedicated to doing that. Super, super exciting. Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap, sir, what are your thoughts on this development?
I like it. I like this a lot. And I like to see Sarah Bond, the president of Xbox, actually being able to not just do these things in the background, but be the face of the things instead of having her counterparts speak for her. Don't nobody need to speak for Sarah Bond. She got a voice. She has a face, and she speaks better and better PR centric and media savvy than the majority of the people that work with her. Let her talk, let her speak on the things that she is working on, and don't nobody else need to be trying to steal her shine. I salute the queen. I am glad that she's the one that's coming out and saying it, and I think this is a great idea.
And I know it's the new article and people haven't had a chance to read it. Some choice parts of it in an email. Now this email is recent because she spoke to Jez. After all this talk of the PS Pros and all these things coming out, she reiterates that Microsoft's plan to build a new Xbox hardware focused on delivering, quote, the greatest technical leap ever in a generation. So they know what's out there. They know the T-flops, the flops have been counted, and they still doubling down. They 10 toes down that their next hardware will be the biggest technical leap ever.
Now, with that saying, because that's a very vague thing to say, Kay, what do you think she's alluding to when she says it's going to be the biggest technological leap?
Well, at the end of the day, we like those of us that keep an eye on what AMD's doing and all the achievements that are being achieved through optimization. We all know that the roadmap is there. There's a time and a place where you will see, like, we're in love with our ROG allies and our Legion Go's and all of these. All of these things are hardware backed, basically AMD devices, right? APUs. They know where that's headed, right? Now the question remains: are they in a position to get AMD to give them something that's not ready for Gen Pop? Because if they are, they can claim that crown. Because right now it's like, oh yeah, we have Gen 2, we have Zen 2, Zen 3 out there. You know, there's a roadmap all the way to Zen. Like they're far down the line. But all of those have been just slides and spreadsheets that people have been able to see. It's never been like real world in people's hands to actually talk about and do something with. So if they're talking about the biggest leap, they're talking about potentially digging into AMD's crates and getting those really, really performant things that you haven't seen in Gen Pop that we're expecting to be out in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, right? If they are able, because they are the biggest dog in any room when it comes to money, if they're able to put the bag down and say, okay, AMD, we understand you're coming out with this thing in 2027, but nah, this is for us today, they will be able to blow your wig back with amazing visuals you've never seen before because theirs will be custom, right? That's the deal, right? The question remains, how much are they willing to take that leap? Because they can do that. Money speaks, right? That's what we're talking about here. And of course, they themselves have a lot of ninjas in play. There's a lot of tools available that no one ever freaking uses. Like no one uses. Because if you did, you'd see such a huge uplift. I'm saying in a world where the Series S is the reference design, you would be stunned at what that thing can do. But that world doesn't exist. So it's all just theory and stuff, right? I'm waiting for that world where they use the Series S and all the extras that Microsoft has added to this whole mix, right? A quick aside. We've been hearing a lot of hay about all the crazy, interesting things that, as far as machine learning, that's coming in with the series with the PS5 Pro. Would you be surprised to know the various machine learning things and NPUs are found in the Xbox One? Not that series, the Xbox One. They've been there all this time. Has anyone used them? Now, right? But when PlayStation puts it out, ooh, this will be the next gen. It's been there all this time. Nobody has used it.
Like Apple phone. Apple finally implements something Android had years ago. Ooh.
Exactly. Now it exists because they've done it, right? So, and that to me is not necessarily only smoke for the people who don't see it. It's also smoke for Microsoft because they need to do more to get these developers to actually take their tools seriously, right? So at the end of the day, it's all interesting and I love that tech, but it remains to be seen, right? We shall see how it gets implemented. So, in addition to all that information, they revealed that Xbox has become the most prominent platform on Diablo, and when they add it into Game Pass, which means it's coming super soon, very, very, very soon, right? And they've been and here's the choice paragraph that they quote here. It's been nearly 6 months since we came together as an organization. This is the organization of back compat teams, right? As an organization. Our collective achievements in that time frame are tremendous. Everyone should feel incredibly proud of what we've achieved and excited about the opportunities ahead, said Sarah, right? We are moving full speed ahead to our next generation of hardware, focused on delivering the biggest technological leap in a generation. So I will leave you to, and there's more to it, I will leave you to dig through these crates and find all those nuggets for yourself. But you know, as much as people are clowning and the gloom and doom and all of this stuff, these guys are 10 toes down. They're doubling down. They don't foresee them slowing down. You know, maybe at the end of the day, people are a little soured on the messages that maybe Mr. Phil Spencer has been dropping or others. I was actually going to even drop talk a little bit about the news that the man who claimed that the console ate monsters for breakfast has now left the company. But you know what? I think Sarah has earned herself a bit of a wait and see, right? All the others have come, they've done what they've done. We see Kareem Chowdhury leaving exit stage left after what he said. I'm not saying that's a correlation, but people clown him for that, right? These days, a lot of people don't even want to hear Phil speak because of reasons. I think Sarah has still earned some of that political capital. So we shall see if that political capital is spent well. But I, for one, am excited to see what she has to bring. And like Mrs. Slow-Mo Backslap, I say, thank you. She needs to speak more, and the others need to speak less. It's time for that. It really.
Yes.
I would agree with that too. But also, I'll point out, like, this is not only great news, but I think it feeds into what we've already heard with the June 9th showcase. I'm guessing that's when we'll start to see these things unveiled as far as the Activision games being added into Game Pass, especially with that blurb, by the way, that you were highlighting with Diablo 4 now being the most popular on Xbox than in any other platform. So yeah, it's good to see that finally. We've all been wondering, where are these games? Why haven't you added this to Game Pass yet? And I'm guessing June will be the time when we see this happen. And I'm thinking that's why so many people are so excited. I'm thinking it's going to be a few other things that we didn't expect to drop into it.
Absolutely, sir. My excitement is palpable. I'm looking forward to it. As a technologist, I want to see them thread this needle and stop stepping on all them damn rakes on the way to greatness. Just stop it, please. Please. Mr. Pixelbit G with a $2 super chat. He says all that virtualization and put all my console games on PC. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Yes, I concur, sir. And then, of course, Spartan661, $2 super chat. He says, having missionary is better than not having anything at all. Having nothing at all. Sir, on that, you will get no disagreement from me. Tell Mr. John Wolf in the chat to stop slandering missionary. It is a very bad look on his part, and maybe he's going to talk about it. But you know what? I think it's good that we leave it there. We have over 300 people that have been watching us between YouTube and X.com, both on the KSante X channel, as well as the Gaming Circle podcast channel, also on X. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We do this PG-13, sometimes a little bit R, Slander every Saturday. We love it that y'all come in, y'all come down, y'all get in the chat. You get really, really messy with us. We appreciate y'all. And on the note of messiness, I put a poll up. I'm going to close that poll now. And the question was, is the Xbox of Dreams this June enough to quell and drown out the FUD? It's so sad, but I guess we are beaten individuals here, because the winning poll, and this was 155 people voting. The winner of this poll is Xbox Tax at 29%, closely followed by 28% saying yes, finally it'll drown out the FUD, and then an even distribution of hell no and I hope so.
We are jaded over here on Xbox. That's all that tells me. We are jaded as hell. The community is super jaded. I put hope. I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist by nature, so I put hope. I think and I hope that this will help calm a lot of that down. I think it will, personally.
I hope so too, bro. I really hope so too, because it's about time, man. It's about time. There's so much. It looks like every time they actually officially speak, it's forward motion. It's we doubling down, we doing it. We're not, the hardware isn't going anywhere. But then 5 minutes later, there's more gloom and doom and fun, and they're bringing games everywhere. And it's just too much, man. It makes it difficult to engage, in that conversation. I want to talk about them games, man. I want to get excited, and it seems like there's a lot of sadness around the communities these days. But hopefully, we are counteracting that, both with some information that you should know. Hashtag get a PC. And some entertainment, get you started on a Saturday morning. Thank you so much for all y'all being here. Thanks to the man, Mr. Everborn Saga, for giving us the time he was able to give us. Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap, sir, one half of the dynamic duo known as DPS Podcast, sir. It is always a pleasure having you here, especially when you got the Blue Rat who has a sign up saying, I got it. Tell the Pine people where they can keep up with your ongoings.
First of all, glad to be here. For anyone that was offended, like seriously offended by my rants today, don't take it seriously. I'm just having fun. Gaming is fun. We're supposed to be having a good time. And when we discuss these topics, it's all about just having a good time with like-minded gamers and having fun. If you're seriously offended by what I said, then I don't know, maybe
Go ahead. I know you're gonna drop it flat. Go ahead.
Maybe you exude the kind of energy that you know is very Chihuahua like. You know, where
bro.
We
avoided that. Don't go there.
Maybe that's you. You know, like and I don't know what to tell you. You know, grow up a little, get a little bit thicker skin. But don't be a loose booty. Anyway, look, so but you know, look, great time. I enjoyed it. Play your games and enjoy your games this weekend, people. Damage Per Second podcast is my podcast I do with on the DPS channel with my home and gaming forte. We have a great time. Last Thursday was extra slanderous. I don't know what came over me. I said some things that I looked back on after the day after and said, did I go too far? I don't know. I mean,
back, sir.
I can't take back. And Forte now says that we are completely blackballed from ever getting any executive on our show. It is what it is, though. We are completely unfiltered in how we feel. Please come through and join us. You know, just have a good time. Enjoy talking games, and the chat's very free and opening to various different points of view, and we encourage that. So come on through with that. This evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be with my good friend Yash and Luca on Scumcast, which is going to be great. We'll discuss all these topics, and Luca will probably do a lot of yelling from her step stool in order to be able to reach the microphone, because she's like, she's like a gnome, like she's gnome size.
She's like Everborn Saga and Dragon's Dogma too.
even smaller. But no, again, go check her out. She definitely will appreciate the support. And again, enjoy your games. Have a great weekend, people.
Thank you so much for being here, brother. It's always great when you're here. You make the show so much better every time. And of course, not to be outdone, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, the smooth brother himself, who has not sang for us all show, Mr. Infinite Umbra. Sir, we appreciate you for being here. You, even though he is the bot hammer 21K, tell the fine people where else they can keep up with you this week. We missed you on the Fix this week.
What a world I have ascended. Okay, I'm sorry.
Keep that pinky in there, bro. Keep it in there.
That's a song for you all, just on the fly right there. I feel so good. It is a beautiful thing. As I look into the sky and daydream as I see this, it is a beautiful thing to feel like so free and to have these shackles removed. Okay,
ain't it amazing?
It's amazing, slow-mo.
You just take a deep breath of fresh freedom in high frame rates.
Yes, so freeing. And
I see our view count literally dropping like a stone as y'all.
You all should not run from the truth. You should embrace it. So I just want to say to our console brethren, listen, you all hold on and fight that good fight.
Yep.
And live to see another day. And I just, I wish the best for you. I wish the best for you.
You gotta stop this, man. You gotta stop. This is not cool, man.
Oh my gosh.
This is too much, man. What y'all doing?
Listen, hashtag just get a PC, as Slanderous Brother K said on his tweet there. No, seriously though, guys, thank you all for being here with us and holding us down, man. You all are the best. One of the best chats, of course, in gaming and any podcast I've ever been on. And of course, you guys can find me on Twitter, X, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And I will be showing more pictures of my PC to brag. Also, of course, you can find me on Tuesdays on Boom's podcast, the Xbox Factor, and that's at 12 o'clock Eastern. The Fix, my podcast with my co-stars, I call them instead of co-host, Daniel J. McGee. We missed this week, of course, and the PC was the cause of that. I'm going to be honest. Danny had something going on as with his family, but I had the PC come through, and I was like, well, there goes my excitement for the podcast. I have this now. And so, honestly, I just didn't have enough to talk about. So I just figured, I don't want to bring anything to anybody if I don't have anything serious. And And Fridays, of course, the Infinite podcast with myself, Risky for the Biscuit, that blue number. And we have 2 new members we have added with Spriggan, aka Dante, Moody, and Garuda Intruder, who was here earlier. I'm sure it's probably like
him and his cakes, man. Him and his cakes. Oh,
him
Lord.
And those cakes. Oh, Lord. If you all want to get any context to that, go toward the end of the show yesterday for the Infinite. And you'll see it's not safe for him.
That was great, bro. That was hilarious, bro.
No Diddy for him. He better watch himself. He's not safe. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Kay, thank you, brother, for inviting me. Slow-mo. By the way, thank you both. And I have to say this too to you, Kay, and to Hargeet, who's in the chat, and to our brother Lucius. You 3 specifically helped me, Kay, Hargeet, and Lucius as far as getting this PC I do have. Slow-mo, of course, and other people in the chat, Pixel, everybody else who gave me insight as well. Thank you guys for all of that into where I've, and gotten this far with it. So yeah, thank you all for that. And thanks for having me, Kay.
Brother, it is always a good time with you here. You, Slow-mo, y'all are family, man. You're part of the GCP family. You know that. You're always welcome here, as well as the great folks in the chat as well. It's always wonderful. Just y'all start my Saturday off always righteous. And then of course it ends the Saturday night because we podcast for too damn long. But on that note, it's been a great show. I've loved every minute of it. Shout out once again to the man, Everborn Saga, who was able to join us because I didn't expect him to be here, but it's great to have him here as well. Thank you guys so much. It's always awesome having these chats. And again, if you need help, we got you, right? It's not, we slanderous. We're laughing and having a good time. But at the end of the day, your budget determines what you do. You can either choose to be on the console, and that's your choice. Or if you feel like, I want to get on the PC, but it might be too expensive. No, it's not. We will help you. We'll work it out. We'll get you to console prices. You will have some concessions, but we all have concessions. It is what it is. Right?
I wanted to say this real quick. I get asked often about like, hey, I want to build a PC or I want to buy a pre-built. Like, what should I target? I always ask them. The very first question I ask them is, what is your target resolution? Well, I get to that one. What's your target resolution? And what is your target frame rate? Where, because that's the most important thing. The most important thing is are you going to be satisfied with what you get the performance and that's the first. Because when I know for certain, I want to play 1440p, 120 frames per second. What's your budget? Now, then when we found out the budget, I know what the target, what to look for. Let's go on PC Part Picker. Let's work it out. I have fun doing that. It's really fun, and all the misconceptions that people have is just like that stuff can easily be worked out with you getting what you want, what you're looking for, and the budget that you want to do it in.
There you go. And of course, if you're looking for a handheld, we will get you to Mr. MJ Dark, the handheld master, who basically has a handheld for everybody. I'm telling you, join the Discord. We're gonna create. It will happen. I want to create a marketplace. I'm gonna call it the Latin Quarters, and that's where you will find him. He'll be in the corner going, "Hey, bro, I got some handhelds for you, bro. You guys, you need some handhelds, man? I got some handhelds for you. I can't wait till we finish working that out." But yes, we have options for all things, man. We appreciate y'all being here. We're a big tent. We love games. We shout out to Ham Solo in the chat. Shout out to Spartan. Shout out to Suicide Kings, the great Hargeet Chani, everybody that joined us. Had a great time. And until next week, keep it gaming. Enjoy yourself. And stop all the FUD, man. Enjoy your 30 frames per second games. Peace.